Yeah. How's everybody doing this afternoon? Hope you guys sitting back, relaxing, maxing all cool. About to be a good one, boys. Let's drop a like, show some love. Let's get ready to rock and roll, baby. Fired up, ready to be here, boys. Good evening, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode of High Top Sports. I am in the studio with my man, Mr. David Soderquist. How you doing, big guy? How are you? Welcome to the stream.
Oh, you know, just another day in paradise, getting over hump day, Thursday and Friday on the way to the weekend.
It is a good weekend in store. It is March Madness weekend, which just roused me up. Although I've learned, unfortunately, a lot of our fan base doesn't really appreciate March Madness. Now, there is a few that do. And for those of you, I love you and I appreciate you. If you haven't joined the bracket, shame on you, okay? It's free to entry and you could win $250. Well, I don't know anything about basketball. Nobody cares. Just pick a team. I made David pick one, okay? He didn't want to do it either. He didn't have a choice. He's locked in. He's ready to rock and roll. Hope you guys again are having a great Wednesday afternoon. It's the best day of the week. It's the hottest podcast on Wednesday, if you ask me. We have a jam-packed show in store for you guys today. Recruiting news, spring news. Our boy Jalen from Georgia decided to get himself into trouble. Georgia itself decided to get itself in some trouble. Okay? Again, we got March Madness. Steve and I will be doing our annual bracket pick'em a little bit later on in the show, of course. Some Jaguars talk. NFL Madness today was through the roof, so we're going to go over that, and it's going to be an exciting one. Mama says she's got her bracket, loves the new hat, appreciate it. We did get some new merch, some new hats, which we'll be talking about here in a minute. TK says, yo, Florida basketball needs to stop bringing in the mid-major players. Yeah, we're losing to UCF right now in the NIT, a.k.a. not in the tournament, which is not good. Lucas, man, how we doing, baby? Muddy Waters, FAU is your Cinderella. Okay, interesting pick there. I'm pretty sure I saw your wife in there, Muddy, unless you're just trying to get two picks in there. Saw you reaching there. Saw you reaching for that. I like it. RN Bechet, what's going on, boys? Scott 020, insert Merkin. Hey, go Gators, and Todd Freeman, James Lyons. James got himself a hat already. Woo! It's a mouthful, boys. Dave, how was your weekend, bud?
It was pretty good, man. Minus the hangover. No, I'm just kidding. Too old for that. But yeah, sure. Minus the headaches of the work week. Yes, the weekend was rather well, I would say. What about you, Sean?
It was good. We visited the grandparents, had a good time, got some golfing. Haven't played golf in about a minute, so we had a good time. It's TPC weekend here, which was an absolute buzzkill, which we'll talk about a little bit later, but good stuff there. But first thing first, we got to talk Jalen Carter. Okay? The guy's been in a slew of mess since the national championship. Wasn't he the guy that you posted a video of him getting pulled over for going 85? Same guy, right?
89 and a 45, yes.
89 and 45. Cop basically let him off the hook. Same guy that drove away from the scene of the crime.
Who is that cop?
I don't know.
Who lets somebody off for going at 85? I don't get it.
It's Jalen Carter. He's probably a Dogs fan. And then he shows up to his what was it today? His not media day. It's pro day at Georgia. 20 pounds overweight. Couldn't finish a workout. Is that what I'm hearing? Are these rumblings true? Did you hear the same thing? I heard this from a Georgia fan.
I heard it was 9 pounds overweight, but it could be 20.
Look,
but yeah, yeah, go ahead.
When you start, it starts at 9, then it gets to 11, then it gets to 12. Them cookies start adding up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, especially when you're hanging out with Stetson Bennett the night before. I mean, yeah. It does add up. Yeah.
It's interesting. I mean, this guy was looking like a number 1 draft pick And I think at this point he could slide down all the way to the Jags at 24 with all this nonsense. Do you think? I mean, this is not a good look. I mean, just it feels like it's one after the other in a very short time period. It's like the Kirby cuffs come off and all hell's breaking loose. And look,
Yeah.
it may not have all happened at one time, but all of it's being released at one time.
Yeah, I mean, I think even with the trouble he got into prior to the draft and then him having come back, I think even with a good pro day, he still would have been all right. But now that his pro day has looked rather underwhelming, that could affect him a little bit. But I mean, you got to go by his whole year of talent. Like, I mean, what he's done in college, and then you got to say, well, is he still worth first round after all this trouble? After showing up to pro day looking like you've eaten 1,000 donuts. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what those NFL draft scouts are thinking or what the deal is, but it's just not a good look, man. I mean, it's really not a good look. Um, I had a few people say, well, maybe he was stressed out. Well, that's what happens when you get in trouble. You get pretty stressed out. So, um, I hope that, I mean, like, as much as I make fun of the situation and heckle Georgia fans and all that other kind of stuff, I do hope the best for the guy because he's
Sure,
still a
agree.
human being. But yeah, it's just not a good look.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And again, like stress, whatever it may be, I'm sure he is going through a lot, which is something to take into consideration. But when you come to your pro day, which is supposed to be your shining moment, and you can't finish a workout, the weight thing, if you look fast, you look sharp, not a big deal, right? I mean, those guys can move weight pretty easily. So we, as the media guys and people talking about it, we like to emphasize when we hear about the weight because it's exciting to stir things up. But the fact that he couldn't finish an exercise tells you maybe the weight is a little bit heavier than just the more than what it sounds. So we'll see. Look, it's a big pay cut. That's the biggest thing. I mean, he'll still get drafted, he'll still get picked up, and it could be the best thing that happened to him because of him losing money now. It's best he loses it now versus him going into the draft, first or second, getting a fat check, and then, kind of being disappointing and getting slapped in the face later on and not being able to bounce back. Sometimes kind of getting, clapped early before you get drafted could be a wake-up call. And whatever team does get him could reap the benefits from it. Who I see reaping the benefits from this would be like a New England Patriots. That's a team that somewhere he needs to go to kind of get held accountable. I don't feel like the Jaguars would be a good place. I mean, it'd be fun, obviously. I kind of make that joke, but I just think that team's in a building cycle. They need some good culture. They don't need a headache at the moment. If there's somebody that can get this man a check, it's going to be Billy B over there in New England. So we will see. Q Lee, what's going on, man? Tolgit says, "What's up? Hi top. I'm new to the channel. Well, welcome to the channel, my friend.
What's up?"
Matthew Walker, thoughts on the new wide receiver coach? We're going to get into that here in just a minute. We obviously wanted to start with the Jalen Carter news. Anytime we can take a shot at Georgia, we're first in line. So we didn't want to miss out on that. Moving on, our new wide receiver coach. I went live yesterday when the news broke for Billy G Wagon Gonzalez. Thoughts on this, Dave? Look, we both did a poll. You have a little bit different following than I do. I saw that you did that. I was like, this is awesome because you also gave 3 options. I only gave 2 options, hell yeah or no. You gave that medium option of like, I'm excited, but I'm reserved. I got 98% excited, which I was excited to see that Gator Nation for once in a long time seemed to be on the same page. You saw how kind of your one-offs who just wanted to feel important, saying they hated the move. But for the most part, everybody was really excited for this. I think everybody had the same kind of opinion of, hey, we loved Billy when he was here, never really had any hard feelings about him. His lack of success, I guess you could say, during Mullen was here, we all point towards Mullen. But you did have a third option, which was, again, excited but reserved. Did that end up winning for you?
Yeah, excited but reserved. I think got like 83% of the votes. I was trying to pull up the poll here and I couldn't find it. The peed my pants excited was second place. I think it was around like 20%, and then like 10% had I barfed in Mullen. So
Okay.
the majority is reserved but excited. But like, in my opinion, man, I can't say, like, I think it was more of just kind of weird and kind of out there. Like, I heard that Billy G was one of the guys that they were interested in, but it never was like really talked about or anything. I heard other names that were more talked about, and I know they interviewed a whole ton of coaches. But Billy G's name was out there, and I think the unexpectedness of Billy G kind of resonated a little bit with Florida fans just based on the last staff and how they left the impression.
Sure.
But when it comes down to it, it's, well, he was with Dan Mullen. He's going to be with Billy Napier and this staff now. And Billy Napier isn't going to just say, okay, well, we don't want this guy. Okay, you're going to recruit this guy. We don't want this guy. We want him. He takes an evaluation process. So any recruit that any of the assistants want goes through him. So it's not like Billy G's walking into the same Dan Mullen staff that he left. I mean, Billy G, I mean, he has a good resume. I mean, he's put tons of wide receivers in the league. There was a lot of kids that, they even tweeted out about it. I mean, you have former players tweeting out about it. Best wide receiver coach in the country. I mean,
that was exciting to see.
He's going to be an instant impact on the recruiting trail. I mean, he's got a track record of development. He's just been praised by so many NFL players, and he's never been in the NFL. So he's a college guy. So he likes to be in college. He's not going to take a job to the NFL or go to the Broncos or whoever wants to take him. Like, he's a college guy. So at least you got somebody that has proven that they're going to stay at one school for a while. I mean, he stayed here 4 years with Dan Mullen. He stayed for a long time with Dan Mullen at Mississippi State. The stuff that he did at LSU. I mean, he's got a track record, and it doesn't look like he's going to quit anytime soon. So I like the Billy G hire with the current staff that we have instead of the last staff. If it would have been the last staff, I wouldn't even cared. And I know a lot of people were upset when Billy G was told to go, and he went to FAU. And then he comes back, and then some people didn't like it. And I was like, I thought you guys were upset when he left.
Yeah.
So what's going on?
So I mentioned yesterday in the live where I think what Billy brings is the new Billy G-Wagon is what we're calling him here, is right now Billy has a lot of guys around him that believe in Billy that he brought with him. They're brainwashed, not in a negative way, but they're bought into the Napier's way. They understand his system, which is great. You need to have that. But at some point, you need to bring in guys that will push back a little bit on your agenda and how you operate. Billy G-Wagon, in my opinion, provides that in a good way, in a good positive way. I did see a Miami fan. I can't remember his name. I wish I could call him out. It was like Big T.
Well, it's a Miami fan. So
Big T, Big 2Y. They put in the Discord today. He kind of was going a little bit of a rant, trying to make fun of Billy Gonzalez because Billy Gonzalez has been a wide receiver coach for about a minute now. And now he has been a co-offensive coordinator, I believe, at Mississippi State. He was trying to rag on that a little bit. Again, I don't know too much of, hey, how many times did he try to move up, or has he interviewed for an offensive coordinator, hasn't gotten it? We don't see or hear these things. I will say this. I think his track record of a wide receiver coach has been proven to be extremely successful. His recruiting track record, his number one recruit being Percy Harvin, extremely successful. Those two things are true, okay? Now, here's the other part that people don't realize, is sometimes not everybody's meant to move on to the next level. They find their rhythm, and they're just really good at it. Being a head coach, it's not for everybody. That doesn't mean because, like, Jeff Scott, for example, who went to USF, the guy's a great coach. He just may not be, zoned for a head coach. It's a whole other animal. You're managing multiple personalities. You've got to keep your cool. It's a CEO-style type of job. Not everybody's meant to be a CEO. Now, there is some really good managers, and that's probably what Billy Gonzalez is, and he probably realized that. And some people have a hard time grasping that. That's the line that I'm going to go on. Again, you can look at that resume and be like, man, he kind of hopped around a little bit. He hasn't moved up. Why is that? I don't think we'll ever truly understand, to get the full breakdown. I'm sure there's stories, and we could probably ask around. I haven't had enough time to figure all that out yet, but I don't look at it as a negative because of the success that he has had in the positions that he has had. To say his 1 year at FAU and then you kind of have an off year, right? You're transitioning out of one job into a next. You're almost kind of just filling a role really quickly. I mean, people are going to use that of like, oh, FAU, you suck there. It's like you couldn't even pick up a real job. You're coming off of Dan Mullen era where things weren't that great. That's part of it. It's going to happen.
Yeah, and he's not going to do that much 1 year at any place. So especially at FAU.
Sure.
I mean, like no top recruits are going to look at FAU. Now, if you could pull a 4-star,
look at Lane Kiffin. I'm pretty sure Lane Kiffin coached at FAU for a little bit. Did he not? He went there during his little tangent of getting to where he is now. So sometimes you got to take steps to go back and forth to get forward again. That's just kind of how the coaching train works. So
yeah, I mean, I think he was at Illinois for 1 year too after he left LSU. So it's like, and then he went to Mississippi State. So
yeah, he was there for a while.
It's kind of like when you either leave a job or maybe a new head coach comes in and wants his own staff, right? You can go find you another job until you can find a better one, know, and that's what a lot of people do in the real world. So
you got to find that middle ground, right?
Right.
So
this was kind of the situation for him.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and I think I'm excited to see what he's going to be able to do. I'm not too concerned about it, and I'm starting to realize Miami and FSU fans, they obviously don't have fans during this time of the year, so how they get clicks and views and whatnot, because Gator fans, we get rowdy, and we are their views, so they have to talk negatively about us to get to get us fired up. Real quick, shout out to Around the Table Sports, Ty. He had us on his show a few weeks ago. We need to get him on here. Incredible podcast, incredible guy, just in general, incredible the way he speaks, very knowledgeable, a fun guy to talk to. He had F's Fanatics on there. I love his style, has a lot of different people come on and provide it. I'm glad that he still appreciates me. I kind of went on there and was rounding up his fans, but good guy, man. Appreciate hanging out with us tonight, Bubba. All right, good stuff. Glad we handled that. Hopefully you guys that handles that question for Billy Gonzalez and Billy G-Wagon. Next thing that came out, and we kind of felt this was coming, is the Gators versus the Utes has been officially announced to be held on August 31st on a Thursday. Again, I think people have to understand this is up to the Pac-12's rights. This was their TV situation. And I think a lot of that had to do with how this landed on Thursday. I also was reading Nick Delatorre's article from On3. Apparently, Utah had some struggles getting back to Utah after the game, which was a late game on Saturday. I believe their flight was delayed like 4 hours. And you think about that game ended at like midnight. You're not getting home till 4 o'clock in the morning. And now, your whole week is set backwards because of travel delay. And you're got to go basically all the way across the country. It causes a lot of, mishap. Playing on a Thursday, are we excited about it? I don't like it, personally. I hate it, honestly. It's cool for traveling purposes. I do agree with that. We get a long weekend, but it sucks that our first game isn't on a Saturday. It bothers me. I always give Steve shit because Florida State is known to not play on a normal day. They're playing on Monday, their first game. I don't like it. I don't like it.
I don't even really mind if it's just like a one-time deal sort of thing. Like, especially if we win. If we win, I don't care if it's on a Thursday. Because think about it.
You gotta have this shit on Tuesday at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, boys. We come home with a W. At the end of the year, ain't nobody gonna remember what time that game was played.
Right.
Just get a W, boys.
Think about it. You play on a Thursday and you win, and then you think in your mind, well, what if it was moved to Saturday? Would the players have still been in the same mindset?
Sure.
Would the game?
But if we lose, you lose.
Yeah.
Right?
Then you're gonna look back at it and be like, man, why didn't we play on Saturday? So yeah, I mean, I'm not traveling or anything, so it doesn't mess up any plans that I have. I can still come home at night and watch the game and have fun, have me a little cocktail, watch it, whatever. So it doesn't really bother me that much. But
see, that's the other thing, right? It's on a Thursday. You got to go to work the next day. Now I'm taking off, but for most people, we got to go to work the next day now. So it kind of. I remember last Utah game. I was buzzing. I was fired up, ready to rock and roll, and I expect to be in the same kind of mindset come this football game. So that's kind of where, for me, like, again, as a fan, I'm not a huge fan of it. But look, it is what it is. I think the Pac-12 is in a weird situation right now with TV deals. I kind of predicted this happening. I think a lot of it has to do with the fact of TCU, Colorado's playing on Saturday. They would be competing with TV times. And again, I don't know about how like the TV laws and rules and all that stuff work. I have no idea. I'm not gonna act like I know what I'm doing. But if I'm the Pac-12 and I got this game and the Colorado game are in the top 5 of 2 best games for that weekend. Do you want to basically blow your load on one day, or if you can take up 2 days as the Pac-12, which is in shambles right now? What do? I'm going to dominate 2 days. We're going to have everybody focused on Thursday on a Pac-12, and then Saturday, everybody's going to be tuned into us at whatever time we decide to have our game, because everyone's going to be wanting to watch TCU, the returning, who wins the championship, and then obviously Coach Prime's first game. That game's going to be an absolute. I think College Game Day is going to be there. I believe that has been announced, or am I mistaken? That has been announced, right? And I said
I have no clue.
I may be up for bid, or they're talking about it. I said I could see Colorado having a multitude depending on how the season goes, right? Of college primetime games, just because they play obviously TCU. That Nebraska game is going to be up for, if both teams are 1-0. That's going to be an interesting one because it's early in the year. Most teams don't really play anybody. That second game, right? And then USC, if Colorado's on a little bit of a burner, and USC, that game has potential. Pac-12 could find some resurgence here when they need it most. So it's going to be fun to watch for sure.
Yeah, and that's how most starts of the college season go. I mean, you have good games Thursday, you have good games Friday, you have good games Saturday. They try to load it up every year, like at the beginning of the season anyway. So I don't even really care, but it's better than having to play our game in Dublin, Ireland, like Florida State has against
Yeah, for real.
Georgia Tech.
I mean, that's pretty cool, though. Hey, real quick, boys and girls, just kind of quick little shameless plug. We got some new hats. If you guys want to go check them out, links in the
Yes,
description.
sir.
We already, some of the guys already picked up a few of the black one here. Nice little clean hat, clean look. We got the America one that's red, white, and blue. Obviously, you got the Gator colors going, and the one that I'm wearing as well. This one's a little bit different style. So if you guys are looking to get your hat wear for the spring and the summer, check the link. Really appreciate it, boys and girls. It's a limited pre-order, so go check it out, boys. Appreciate that. Okay, let's move on to our next hot topic. Also, drop a like, boys and girls. We got over 100 people in here. Appreciate you guys hanging out and showing some love. Recruiting was massive this weekend. It's expected to be massive this coming weekend, the 20th as well. All good news on the forefront. I did do some research and some digging last year to see when our first commit landed last year, so we can kind of get a gauge of what we can expect. And it was May. I think we had two of them, Najee Harris, and I think maybe Bryce Thornton. Could be wrong in the names, but there was 2 or 3 guys that committed mid to late May, and then we had most of them commit during that July stretch. We had a lot in that July stretch into early August, and then obviously late August as well. So my point for me telling you this is here's how we're going to get through this, okay, guys? We've got this weekend coming up for March Madness, okay? We got March Madness for the next 2 weeks. Those are probably the most 2 exciting weeks for March Madness. That'll get us through to April. Then we got a spring game in April, right? We'll have some buzz coming off that to talk about how that game went, who's going to be the starting quarterback, whatever it may be. And then before you know it, it's going to be May, and that's hopefully we can see our first one rocking and rolling. So it's recruiting season's heating up, boys. I just want to let you know. I know it's something that we kind of talk about when that first one's going to land. Now, obviously, we've had a few land, but I think those were kind of that early period. Now it's time for that next stretch. When's that next stretch going to start? But Colin Simmons, the number 1 edge 5-star, who he tweeted today. This is kind of new in the making. This was not prepared on my list by my notes that I have here. He tweeted today to DJ saying something about getting nasty, I believe. Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure nasty was the terminology that he used. Because am I wrong there?
I believe it was getting nasty.
Can I get getting nasty for $250, please? And
Jeopardy episode.
So DJ retweeted it. He retweeted eyeballs, I think, and then Jarrett Gibson commented on it with the little eyeballs. I don't know what's going on here, boys, but it's got me fired up because obviously he's visiting along with the number 1 inside offensive tackle, Jordan Seaton. He's also visiting this weekend on the 20th as well. And I believe DJ's visiting this weekend. Is that am I mistaken? I know he's visiting again in March. Is it this weekend or do you know?
I know he's visiting for the spring game, obviously. I think he is going to try to come down here for another visit as well. I believe it could be that weekend too, because there are, like you said, there are some big names coming that weekend too. But Jordan Seaton, man, this guy, I particularly like him, to be honest. A top 50 recruit here, the number 1 interior offensive lineman. He released a top 14, so it's not like I'm really, really crazy about it, but it is good that he is visiting Florida and we are on his list. But as I said, it's so early, and especially, I mean, releasing a top 14 doesn't really get me all excited. But at the same time, visiting Florida is something that you want to see. He's interested, so he does want to visit. And hopefully Lagway can be there for every week, but we'll see what happens there.
It feels like it right now, man. It feels like they got DJ, and this is a joke, don't take this seriously, on payroll for recruiting. I mean, the man's got his cap on, and he is hunting. And this is where people are like, oh, don't get too excited. This guy is bought in. He's orange and blue. Again, outside of the most craziest thing happening, this guy is 100% bought in, which I'm loving every bit of it. Again, obviously, I don't see what other quarterbacks are doing. My Twitter timeline isn't tied into those guys. I just feel from following it pretty heavily last year, right? I think, Marcus Stokes, when he was involved, did a great job. When Rashada came in, I don't feel like he recruited much at all. Treyon Webb, he was a big headhunter in recruiting last year. But Treyon and these guys, they came in late. They came in around late July, right? So we missed this first half of getting guys to come in. So Good to see that. Westfall, also a 4-star offensive tackle. We spoke about him last week. He's high on the Gators right now as well because, he spoke to the 2 offensive linemen that we have, which I've been preaching this entire time. So good to see these offensive linemen starting to get excited about what we are able to, produce on the field for those guys. So good to see.
And he's a big boy too, 6'8", 305.
Fits right into the mold of what Florida offensive linemen look like. So love it. I also wanted to go over this too. It's part of recruiting a little bit because Miles Graham's already committed, but he visited this past weekend and he spoke on Austin Armstrong and said he loves what he was able to bring in. He was brought in and met him, and he said the practice feels different from last year's guys. Guys are flying around, making plays, making tackles, having fun, etc. So it was cool to get his perspective because he's obviously been going last year and this year. What does he gain by saying that? Is kind of how I look at that, right? Why pull that out? And I think, because again, he doesn't benefit from the team doing well. He doesn't benefit by saying that. He's already committed. He's already bought in, right? And I think and we've been hearing the same thing. It's just good to hear from different perspectives. Getting it from the players, you kind of expect that. Getting it from the coaches, you expect that. Getting it from even the beat writers, you expect that. The recruits, I don't always expect that. I expect to hear him say like, yeah, it was a great visit. These guys are really cool, blah, 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 blah. But somebody who's been watching it the whole process, watching this culture build, and again, these guys are becoming more and more bought in. The Miles Grahams, Chauncey Bowens. Darius Hayes is obviously new to the mix, but loved reading and seeing that Miles Graham had some great things to say about Austin as well as the defense, just having a different energy.
Yeah, and I've interviewed Miles Graham before, man. He's completely 100% locked in. I mean, he's not going anywhere. DJ Lagway's not going anywhere. And this point last year, you didn't have as good of a start as you did this year. I mean, you have
very much,
5-star quarterback, should be a 5-star linebacker. Miles Graham, he will be. He should be anyway. Sure. And then a Darius Hayes, Chauncey Bowens. I mean,
Chauncey Bowens, a top 10 running back, could be a top, could move. And I was talking today, I got with some guys about the running back room. We're talking about, obviously, Zeke got released today. So running backs are a dime a dozen anymore, man. And if you look at the recruiting class, from 1 to 10, they're all 5'10", 210 pounds. What's separating those guys right now, honestly, is from that extra star or extra point is competition, where they're playing, and obviously reps and yards and things like that. But the only one that really stands out to me in this class is Cam Davis. The guy's 6'2", 220. I was like, that's Derrick Henry reborn. But everyone else is about 5'10", 5'11", 210 pounds, Chauncey Bowen himself. So I was like, look, you're not. It's not much separation. All we're looking for is what sounds cool. It's like, oh, we got another 5-star. But I'm beyond excited for Chauncey Bowens, and we've got a list of guys to go over in here in just a minute. Other potential running backs as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's very running back heavy, I would say, this class with talent. And as I said last week, a lot of it's in the state of Texas. And luckily, we recruited a 5-star quarterback from the state of Texas. Now, of course, you still got your guys from Florida, too. Well, I'm sure you'll get into that here shortly. But I like the way that it's trending right now. If you can hold on to Chauncey Bowens, which he still says he's 100% committed, and he's going to take his visits. He's going to want the free food, the red carpet, whatever they give to him on his visits.
Sure.
But if you keep him in here, you can get your other running back, which as I said, we'll get into there. And then you finally get your 2 running backs that you wanted in a cycle, because I think last cycle you didn't get one. You only got Trayon Webb, and then you got Cameron Carroll from the transfer portal. So
correct.
Yeah, it's good that you were able to lock in a running back this early, and you've got till December or February to lock in another running back into this class. So it's good. Like I said, really good start for Florida.
Yeah, and look, speaking of kind of what's on that list, again, Jarrett Gibson, we've all felt kind of, we turned a blind eye into that, but he's over here tweeting eyes at us, so I don't know what's going on. Could just be him flirting, right? Playing the game a little bit.
Probably,
wouldn't blame him. Look, that's part of it. You should expect that. Right now, an article from Corey Bender here, his top 3 guys that he has kind of for Florida right now are Jordan Lyle, Stacey Gage, who we mentioned a couple of times, and Anthony Carey. Now, what's interesting here is, right as of now, and I just looked this up, Anthony Carey, who is a 4-star running back, 14th ranked running back, again, 5'11", 195. Everything I just said, right? As Florida right now leading the way at 24%, and then Georgia in a close second at 16.9%. I know it's early, but I'll take it. And then Stacey Gage, this one was interesting to me. The 12th ranked running back, 5'10", 205. Again, everything that I said. Florida leading the way at 20%, followed by Ohio State, 18, Oklahoma, 15. It is interesting to see Oklahoma drop that low. I did see an interview with him at Ohio State. He spoke very highly of Ohio State. Ohio State has produced some red winners in the running back room, one being Ezekiel Elliott. So I could see the appeal of Ohio State 100%. Yep. But I also know that when DJ committed, he goes, hey, wherever you go, little bro, I'm going, or big bro, I'm going. And so that's always been kind of in the back of my mind is like, what was Stacey Gage meaning by that? So to see Florida to make a little bit of a jump here is very interesting to see because I know we were not a hot commodity originally. My little brother went to a visit with him actually at Florida last year, and because they went to IMG together, and he said the chit chat, he's like, yeah, he's locked in at Oklahoma. Now, again, this was way back when it was pretty adamant at Oklahoma, and Stacey Gage's profile picture has been Florida for a while now. And I thought it was kind of more of a troll, but it hasn't moved. And I know he's also going to visit Colorado and Coach Prime shortly, which he tweeted out, said, hey, I'm coming. And he's still making his visits as he should. Like you said, go get the red carpet, go see what's going on. But, that would be massive. Chauncey Bowen, Stacey Gage, who's been a highly, he just won, he won some kind of award like a week ago, right? At the Under Armour
You're talking about the Under Armour Orlando?
Colin Hurley MVP, won right?
Colin Hurley won the MVP of that.
What did Stacey Gage? He won something.
I can't remember, but I know.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. He probably won MVP for running back. I'm sure.
He won something. He won some kind of award. So look, I expect his ranking to go up as well. We talked about this last week, I believe, with Connor Clark on. Look, we can't take too much into the commitment now and the rankings and whatnot. These things are going to change, but it's good to keep a pulse on it, get an idea. I think. Look, we as fans, if we can kind of go follow these guys, show some love. Who knows what we could do? You know what I mean? Go show some appreciation. These guys want to feel loved. I think with the days of the NIL, it's the whole culture of college football is changing, and why guys are want to go play for certain places, and who knows what's causing someone to go one way versus the other. So, the more we know about it, the more you know, the better.
Yeah, Stacey Gage. It looks like he won the 7-on-7 competition there. So,
okay. Okay. And the last thing that I have here is Walter Matthews. Loved hearing this because obviously we hired a new tight end coach just 2 weeks ago, right? We had to make up for that. Piegler, we weren't ever too high on, but he was recruiting Walter Matthews, the number 7 tight end, who is 6'7", 245, mind you. So if tight end doesn't work, put on some pounds. We'll put you into the O-line real quick. He's had many conversations with Callaway. Callaway has basically just picked up right where things left off with Piegler, is what it sounded like. He says, I've had a lot of great conversations. I'm ready to go meet him. He's like, I've had conversations with him about life, all that good stuff. They plan to visit late June and early fall, and that's also when he decides to make his commitment. So, again, back to what we were talking about just a little bit ago when we should start to see these guys commit. But it was good to hear that Callaway is doing some work on the tight ends. I didn't hear much last year on Piegler doing anything. Now, you could go and look and see, hey, who are they being recruited by and whatnot. You would see Piegler's name on there a few times, but I would read interviews with recruits, and I wouldn't see Piegler's name come up as much as again, it's early and I'm already hearing from Callaway. Could it be just the fact that it is new and so he's standing out more? That's possible, but it is good to hear. Now, it's going to be something that we monitor over the next few months if the names like Callaway and Billy G. Wagon start to become more of a consistent in the recruiting cycle.
Yeah, and you didn't really hit on a tight end last cycle, so tight end is very, very important coming down the stretch. We did not, and I don't, as I said, I don't think anybody was too upset when William Piegler left to go to the NFL. So, Russ Callaway was actually kind of an upgrade from William Piegler, if you were to ask me, considering his resume. Now, if he can pull this off, this kid's, like you said, the number 7 tight end in the class from the state of Georgia. He's ranked 122nd nationally as composite, 245. The guy's already big. He's 6'7". That's a matchup nightmare right there. If you could get him into this class, and I know that maybe the way that Florida runs their offense with Billy Napier and uses the tight ends more in blocking situations than they do in passing situations, may detour a tight end. But at the same time, if you're a really good recruiter and you can convince the kid that, hey, we are going to throw the tight ends, which they do in this offense. And we've seen it with Keon Zipper and Jonathan Odom and some of those other guys last year. Could get him. That's a good prospect. Hell, 6'7", 245 coming right out of high school. That's pretty, automatic there. And of course, you got Arlis Boardingham last cycle. I hear he is
2 cycles ago
at tight end.
That was 2 cycles ago. He was Billy's first cycle. He didn't play last year, I think, due to injury. So he's in his second. He's like a Trevor. He was on Trevor's cycle.
Yeah,
I guess that was the last cycle, right? My bad. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
right?
Boardingham was recruited as an athlete, though. He wasn't like listed as a tight end.
I remember when we were going after him that he was, I think, yes, he was labeled as an athlete, but tight end was definitely like what he was brought in to come and do. Now,
Yeah,
something to
yeah.
be said too, 6'5", 6'7", 245, we talked about, if he puts on a few more pounds, he could be an offensive lineman. Darnell Washington, tight end coming out of Georgia, what makes him really appealing right now is his ability to be he's a great blocking tight end. Travis Kelce, great blocking tight end, and also can run routes. Somebody that big,
That's
right?
a big dude.
A big dude. Again, having the two offensive lineman coaches, that should be very enticing to you because as a tight end, you're a dual athlete, right? You are offensive line as well as a wide receiver. Look at that. Now you've got Billy Gonzalez is going to be obviously helping with that. Russ Callaway plus that combination of offensive linemen. All that's going to be hyper focused on you. You got those guys all working on you as one. That's huge. It's a big pitch. Put me in, Billy. let me talk to these
Oh,
kids.
yeah. Muddy Waters just reminded me of Livingston as well. That's right, because he was I think he was listed as an offensive tackle or offensive lineman, but they converted him to tight end. So
It wasn't was it Hanson? No, it wasn't Hanson. There was a
Hayden
kid.
Hanson.
Yeah, there was a kid who we had. He just kind of he was part of this year's class. He was already enrolled last year, but he wasn't able to play. I thought he was a tight end too. I can't think of his name at the moment. Before we move on to Spring Brawl notes, which we'll pass over to Dave, make sure you guys drop a like, show some love. Much appreciated there. And then obviously a shout out to our sponsors, Manscaped. Okay. This show is brought to you by Manscaped today, who is the best in men's below-the-waist grooming. Manscaped offers precision engineered tools for your family jewels. Manscaped recently launched the Ultimate Men's Hygiene Bundle, the Performance Package. Join over 7 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with this exclusive offer for you, 20% off and free worldwide shipping with the code HIGHTOP at manscaped.com. Get yourself 20% off. Again, I know we'll talk to Steve a little bit later. I know you've used it before. What did you order? Some more conditioner for your balls or for your hair? What did you order?
Body wash, my man. And I used promo code HIGHTOP to save 20% and get free shipping.
Look at you, baby. I love it. I'm telling you, bro, the ball conditioner is next level. It's unbelievable. I love it.
Smells good too.
It does smell, and they have a little cologne. I haven't used a cologne yet. I feel like that should be like on the go kind of thing, and I want to use it in the moment, right? Like I'm kind of like prepared for it. So,
are you using the Performance Package 4.0?
I am. That's what I have. Yeah, I've got I even went on vacation this weekend. I got a little kit it comes with a little kit. Packed it all up. Packed my beard oil, all that jazz in that little nice little thing I got with it. It's sick, man. I love it. I love the quality that it comes in too.
That's our guys at Manscaped.
Shout out to them. And make sure you guys drop a like. Johnny, I see you doing a little basketball emoji. Yeah, totally legit. You got to try Manscaped. Absolutely. Use the code, Bubba. It's on sale right now, plus the high top code. It's a no-brainer. What's the score for the basketball game? Can we get an update? Because we were getting our ass clapped.
That game is over. And,
we lost. We lost
67-49.
Golly, boys. That's disgusting.
Man,
all right,
why are we losing to UCF in basketball too? Damn it.
Oh, man, dude, you don't have to say it. You don't have to say it. All right, Dave.
It's okay. We'll make up for it in 2024.
It's spring break right now, but that doesn't mean we don't have spring notes. And I saw our boy Keon Zipper. He's in Jamaica right now, having a good old time. I saw on his Instagram. So it's good to see some guys getting around. See some guys in New York doing some business trips. So good to see everyone's having a good time. But we did have some notes from this past weekend before everybody left, and we're going to pass it over to you, Mr. Soderquist, to give us some more updates.
Man, it looks like Jonathan Odom was on his Instagram. Looks like he's at some EDM concert. It looked pretty cool. I like EDM music, so that's a pretty cool thing to see from Jonathan Odom. At least he's having fun on his spring break. But yes, day 4, we did not discuss day 4 before the, I guess, the spring break week ended, and they'll get back to practice here this Sunday on the 19th. But day 4, these are notes that were shared on the Gator Collective message board. So if you want to join the Gator Collective message board, it's an extra $5 a month. I can't give it all away, but I'll give some of it away, tease you, and maybe you pay that extra $5. Head on over there.
Look at Dave.
Yeah, see? Look at me. Montrell Johnson, 40-plus yard touchdown run in that last practice. Ricky Pearsall did pretty well. Caleb Douglas is actually shining a little bit as well. Aiden Mazzell, this is a cool thing that I saw in a couple of the notes and some of the other nuggets I got from some of the other guys. He's returning kicks. That speed, returning kicks.
A little Percy Harvin action, boys?
Yeah, let's go. I think he ran a 10.400 meter. That's like 4.3 speed. So I did like that. And Arliss Boardingham, uh, still making plays. Like he's been quoted as a mismatch nightmare, but I do love to hear it. But from what I've really heard from a lot of people, Cameron Jackson is dominating, like completely dominating. That's probably the best guy in practice, I would say, since day 1 to day 4. Cameron Jackson, he just keeps making plays. And Jalen Kimber almost had a pick six too. He undercutted a route, dropped the pick six,
Who do you pick
but it would have
off?
been a pick six. I do not know. It did not say that in the notes.
I love hearing that about Cameron Jackson. We obviously interviewed him on the show. Great energy. I think it was David Connor. I don't remember who he spoke to. It was either Connor or Javion Toombs, who either one of them said, I think they were talking about Cameron Jackson, kind of just being a voice. I've heard that name pop up a few times of being somebody kind of, just very making some moves, being vocal on the line, being explosive, firing everybody up. And he gets a transfer from Memphis, right? So love hearing that somebody that's coming in, he's new to the team, just taking, hey, I'm here. And he said that when we interviewed him, like, I'm coming in, like, I know I'm a new guy, but I'm a veteran. I know I've been here. I've done this. I'm coming here to win. So it was a young man that was hungry and ready to rock and roll. I got to get him on the sticks. I know he was playing mad when I interviewed him. So I love that. And speaking of Aiden Mazzell, our boy Levi, who sent us some good stuff, he's got some great products, workout products, has a cutout head of Aiden Mazzell. And so he's messaging me. He's like, I have this cutout. Yeah, fat head. That's what he said. He's a fat head. He goes, I made it one night, but now I don't know what I'm going to do with it. Do you want it? I go, fuck yeah. Like, come next season. Yeah, come next season. We're going to be flying around with big Aiden Mazzell heads. You know what I'm saying? And look, it's, you know what it is? It's from the show. It was when he was on the show and I told him that one kid committed to Texas and he gave him the big eyes. That's when it's from. So
when he returns his first kick, man, you're in the crowd. You hold that thing up, man. It'll get on TV.
I love it. I love hearing the spring ball talk. It's exciting just to hear everybody. It's catch-22, right? You hear a pick six, you hear a 40-yard touchdown. You're like, oh, that's great. But who dropped the ball? You know what I mean? Like, we're beating each other. So it's like, hey, who messed up? Who messed up? Speaking of throwing interceptions, Will Miles from Read and React, he's been going through some heat lately with his opinions, but he still writes great articles, regardless of how you feel about him. But he wrote an article about Max Brown, and I've talked about Max Brown. I brought up with Connor Clark. Connor Clark was like, no, Max Brown's number 3. And it's kind of funny to see Will Miles kind of be we're in the same boat, where he was saying he wrote the article to make the argument for why aren't we talking about Max Brown between Max and Graham, and then by the end of it, he was saying between Miller and Brown, kind of put Mertz to the wayside based on Miller's history in the system and things like that. Again, whether you agree with his opinion or not, it was just interesting to see because he brought up what you and I talked about last week. His high school numbers are insane. A 70% completion rate. I remember when Jameis Winston went 23 for 24 or 24 for 25 against, was it Pittsburgh or Syracuse the year they won the first
game, right? The first game?
First or second game. And I was like...
and they scored like 70 points.
Yeah, and I remember him he basically had one incompletion, and I was like, having one incompletion in practice is hard. And I remember I was like, that's impressive. I hate it because it's FSU, but I remember seeing that, like, that's impressive. And like he said, a 70% completion rate. Now, I would like to know how far was the average pass. Was he throwing little thinkers? I don't know. But that's a lot to rely on, right? It's a two-way street here. So that's a big.
If you're throwing short passes and you got like a 70% completion rating, but your time to throw is really fast, like say 2.5 or something like that, you know where to go with football. Like
sure.
You know where it's going once the play develops. And of course, you're going to have a longer time to throw if the pass is deeper because the wide receiver's got to get out there and you got to have time to throw the football to them. But with 68 touchdowns, I'm pretty sure a lot of those passes were not short.
Yeah, I think. Look. Those numbers obviously speak to themselves. He also spoke to him being a dual athlete, and he's playing baseball right now currently in between doing spring balls from what I was reading on his article. And what he was saying was like, look, that speaks to somebody who's hungry, like a Bo Jackson or a Deion Sanders. I mean, that's not easy to do. DJ Lagway, and I think he started playing football his junior year and threw for those kind of numbers. So it's just interesting to see. I think we should be a little more comfortable knowing that that's back there as well. We get caught up in the stars and the rankings and whatever it may be. Mind you, Kyle Trask was a 3-star, okay? And we all miss and love Kyle Trask. Now,
Kadarius Toney was a 3-star quarterback, but a converted wide receiver, but still.
he's going to lose his job to Baker Mayfield, but either way, he was.
Yeah, there you go.
Steve, you can go ahead and hop on here whenever you're ready to rock and roll. But yeah, look, love to hear it. I'm ready for spring ball to get back into action. Okay, it's time to get it going. But let's see here. Calibury says Florida starting quarterback completion rate next year 65%. We talking over or under? It's a great question.
I would go under just to be safe.
I'm thinking under too.
Over. I hope it's over, but I would go under.
Could change.
I'm happy. I'm happy with 62 or 63.
So that's what I was about to say. 62, 63, I would be happy with. So I'm going like a good positive under, right? 65.
I think Richardson was at like 57.
Yeah, give me a 5% bump. We're looking pretty good. We're running the ball a little bit more. We got a lot of unders in the chat. A lot of unders.
Mercer's a really, really good short passer. I think his passes from 0 to 9 were like 71, 72%. So, and that's where Anthony Richardson struggled with. I mean, I think he only had like a 50% completion rating in short passes.
Good stuff. Well, Dave, a pleasure as always. My guy, make sure you guys go check out the website. Obviously, check out the new merch, but also too, Days drops articles once a week, sometimes twice a week. They're incredibly written until I get a hold of them and spell things wrong. So I leave it to David. But they're good. It's again, the guy's a poet, so make sure you guys check that out. We're coming at you from all kinds of angles, and we're having a good time.
Yeah, you jerk! You misspelled the title on and before you submitted that article, and everybody thought I misspelled it.
I didn't misspell it. I spelled it Gainesville because we getting them gains. Not my fault. People couldn't pick up on my sense of humor. Okay, so that's not my problem. That's their problem.
Yeah. I should have a couple more articles coming up here. One on Billy Gonzalez and a couple more in the works. So y'all stay tuned for that.
We got some other talks once Steve just listened. There he is. All right, Dave, I'm gonna let you go, Bubba.
All right. See y'all later. High top. Make sure you hit the like button before I leave. Make me happy. Let's get to 100.
Let's go, baby. Let's get to 100. He's right. Let's get to 100 likes, boys. All right. We're bringing on Mr. Stephen Chad Hawley. We have an interesting topic. A lot of you Gator fans, and now he's gone again because he can't buy his internet. This is incredible. Where, I don't know if you guys saw this already, but with Barstool, they had a clip where they are talking about which Florida team for the next 5 years, if you had to pick one, who would you pick? And the clip frustrated me as a Gator fan, right? I think most Gator fans saw it and got riled up. It feels like we've kind of been the butt joke for the last month and a half. It feels like they know that we're rowdy. They're rowdy reptiles. And they know, okay, to get clicks, we have to just kind of throw some spice to Florida to get it rowdy. Well, welcome to the show, Steve. I had to just keep moving because you can't, obviously don't pay your internet bill. I don't know what's going on.
You kicked me out. You kicked me out.
Tyler Span wanted to welcome you to the stream. We're not even 30 seconds in. He just gave popped in the face. It's a nice shirt there. It's a nice shirt there, bud. Nice plug.
Oh yeah. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, it's one of the best products I've had. You were talking earlier about the TPC and a couple things that we'll get into on that. Look, I'll be honest with you. I went to the TPC on Friday and had some tickets up in the chalet. But I'll tell you what, like it gets bored sitting up there having free food and drinks thrown at you the entire time. So me and the fellas, we took a little walk, a long walk. Before I got out there to the TPC, I showered up, I got cleaned up, I got smelling good, took care of the boys. I knew I was going to be out there. It was going to be humid. It's going to be a little ugly down there. My gosh, like no chafe, no nothing.
No conditioner.
When I came home. Oh, well, I put the conditioner on there. I gave it a little spritz, a little spray, make sure everything stayed nice and clean. Came home smelling like a rose, my man. This stuff, Manscaped.
I love it.
Too good to be true. Too good to be true.
I love the energy. Well, Steve, you haven't seen the video yet, but I want to show you the video, and then we will discuss this atrociousness here that they are discussing. What's going on here? Whoops, I'll get you out of here, Bubba. Hey, welcome back.
Number 11.
You hear it?
Okay.
Next 5 years, would you rather be Florida, Florida State, or Miami?
Florida State.
Without question.
Yes.
Now, I know they're the best team right now. But Norvell, do you see a high ceiling there?
I think he started to figure it out more than the one that I can trust with the other schools, at least.
Well, certainly Cristobal had a disappointing first year. I think Napier's terrible.
Yeah, I'm not a believer in Napier. Cristobal, I don't hate as much, but I just think I felt like they had talent this year, and they really stunk, and that to me is a problem.
It's crazy to say, but I think you go Florida State, Miami, Florida.
I
agree 100%.
Although this is a gigantic year for telling that, because if Miami takes a big step forward on Cristobal, the way he's capable of recruiting, I think he could get it going real quick.
Florida's getting passed, man.
I mean, Napier was a bad hire. I say it all the time, but
they
get mad at me for saying it.
They grabbed fucking Graham Mertz. He stinks.
Graham Mertz.
You know who they do have?
Jack Miller from Ohio State. Who was horrible.
Oh, Jack Miller stinks?
He felt the reason he left was because he was the first one to actually commit.
Yeah.
McCord came, Stroud came, and his ass went way down the list immediately. He's not good. Not good at all.
Now, I will say, Florida, they're almost like a NASCAR driver. They had a great engine, and then for whatever reason,
horrible
they
analogy.
just keep getting passed one by one by one by one. And it's not immediate. It's a slow fall. Now it's like,
well, you know why?
They're behind Tennessee. Are they about to be?
Mullen was the dumbest thing they ever did.
They had a driver who won 3 races in a row, and then he finished 12th in a race, and they fired his ass. They said, you can't drive the car anymore. It's crazy.
It's Kentucky. Who would you rather be in the next 5 years, Kentucky or Florida?
I'd say
Stoops is very good.
That's the reason I say Kentucky, because of Stoops.
I'd rather have the team with Stoops. Yeah.
Blasphemy there. Okay, let's start with that first, because I'm riled up here, boys. Like I am. Oh my goodness. First of all, Brandon Walker. I mean, look, you guys, they do the thing over there in unnecessary roughness. I'm not here to talk shit, but I am here to talk shit. So let's not get it twisted. Can somebody clear his throat? Like, I know he can come at me and say I got bushy eyebrows. It sounds like my eyebrows are in his throat. Like, I don't know how people listen to it. It's unbelievable. Anyways.
You gotta get up here.
Yeah, just sit up. You know what I mean? Just cough it up, please. You're like Mahomes.
Well, actually,
like, I don't know if you have a. Do you have a code? Do you have a cold? Yeah. Do you have a cold? Cough it up here. Here's why I'm frustrated. You're gonna Mark Stoops. Mark Stoops has been at Kentucky for 10 years. For 10 years. He went 2-10 in his first season, followed by 5-7, 5-7, then 8-5, then 7-6, then 10-3. Had a little bit of a shiner there. Back to 5-7, 5-7. I could be a little off from years here. Then to 10-2 again, and then last year projected to go 11-1, finished 7-6 with a first-round quarterback. I know we did too, but let me finish. Okay. Kavius Smoke, who's now at Colorado, and Chris Rodriguez, who is a phenomenal running back, and you had a pretty decent offensive line, and you couldn't get it done. You went 7-6, and I know Will Levis had some injuries throughout the year, but you're going to sit here and tell me Mark Stoops is a great head coach. The guy has been there for 10 years and has been irrelevant for 10 years. In the 1 year that Kentucky finally gets the time to shine, it is literally wide open. You got to get through Georgia, right? Now, Tennessee obviously gave him a little bit of flack too. Wide open for years to take, and you go the same record as Billy Napier, who you were calling trash, who walked into a cluster. You're out of your mind. First of all, you lost credibility when you said that. So I'm gonna go, Steve. I don't even care. I don't mind them saying Florida State. I don't mind them saying Florida State. I think Mike Norvell has done a great job. Mind you, Mike's on his 4th year now. Okay. You and every FSU fan last year was getting ready to kick the boot on Mike Norvell. All of a sudden, he's the greatest thing since sliced bread, but I'll let you have it. Everyone forgets that FSU, just a year removed, didn't even make a bowl game, but I'll let you forget about it, okay? Miami? Listen, we've had a bad 2-year stint. I can't disagree with you. Look, I don't hate the argument that we've been declining. I made that same argument as well. But behind Miami is not back. Miami does a phenomenal job of marketing and making people believe that they are good. I don't understand that. But you're trying to tell me that Cristobal, who was in Oregon, you want to talk about engine, who was in Oregon with Phil Knight in his back pocket when the Pac-12 was at its lowest. Mind you, he was there when USC went 4-8. The guy doesn't win the Pac-12 championship because he loses to Utah. Okay? Don't come in here and tell me, well, Utah's a good football team. Utah took over because Cristobal, you couldn't get it done. Facts. All right? And then you come to Miami when you even said a lot of talent and win 5 games and lose to Middle Tennessee. And you got John Ruiz, who's a great value of Phil Knight.
Smoked by Middle Tennessee. I just want to throw that out there.
And what's interesting too, right? and before that, they didn't do anything. I think they were like, they had 10 win season like 4 years ago. But before that, it was like 7-5, 7-5, 8-4. They haven't been anybody but since anything, and I don't know how long, in the ACC. They haven't even made an ACC championship. Same for FSU. And how long has it been for FSU in an ACC championship? And I know I'm not here to have you kind of talk shit. We can scratch the bread for Florida and FSU. Neither of us are going to agree with that. I'm not here to argue with you on that. I can argue one way.
2014 is the answer, real fast. 2014.
2014. Florida has been in an SEC championship sooner, or not so long ago. So that video had me fired up. Look, a lot of it has to do where that video will surface because they have the title of our Barstool pushing them, right? But when I saw that take, I was like, bro, that is... And again, I'm a Florida fan, so I'm going to get knocked for being biased in my opinion on that. But come with it at facts. You're coming at it from feelings. Could you be right and you can come back and hit me in the face? Sure, but you have no rhyme or reason for any of those takes. To say Kentucky is better than Florida, you feel like Kentucky is going to be better than Florida the next 5 years? Kentucky's never finished in front of Florida in recruiting. So where the hell are you getting that? Where are you feeling like that? At what point... this past season, Billy finished worse than Mike Norvell. 6-7, you guys went 10-3. Billy finished in front of Mike Norvell in recruiting. Now you crush it in the portal, but finished in front of Mike Norvell in recruiting. Like, what are we talking about? Show me a data point on your reasoning that backs up what you said. You got nothing. What were you saying?
Yeah, there's nothing there. There's nothing there at all. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, I think, look, Miami is the king, to your point, of telling you every single year that they're back and that they are going to win it all, and that they are, they're the new and greatest thing to come back to college football, because all they want to do is relive what they did in the 80s, right? They had the 80s. They had, 95 against Nebraska, where they lost that game, Ohio State. But look, all they're trying to do is just relive the 5 championship rings that put them on probation 3 times. If you really want to get down into the weeds of it, let's talk about the last, let's just go over the last 10 years of bowl wins. Let's just say you got to a bowl. You lose to LSU. You win against Nevada. Congratulations, by a point. You lose to Cal, you lose to Wisconsin, you lose to Notre Dame, you lose to Louisville, you lose to South Carolina, you lose to Washington State. Big deal for you. You won against West Virginia. You lose to Wisconsin. You lose to Wisconsin.
Yeah,
you lose to these guys left and right and left and right. And so what are you doing? Like, you can't even get to an ACC championship. The ACC isn't good. Cristobal comes in and all of a sudden has one guy in his back pocket that can essentially pay just about anybody they can find to come there. He still can't win. They still have no quarterback. Van Dyke isn't going to all of a sudden become, a Pro Bowl guy, right? I mean, don't me wrong. They got a little bit of talent there, but when I say a little bit of talent, I mean a little bit of talent. So I don't see it. I don't believe that Cristobal, based on what I've seen with his head coaching ability, and he has had head coaching experience, it's never been good. It's never been very good. And Oregon was a perfect example. That team wasn't left in shambles. Like, don't get me wrong.
No reason he shouldn't have been more successful. He shouldn't have been more successful.
Should have had a great season with Oregon, but he should have been cognizant. He should have been.
Cristobal and Oregon should have been the Oklahoma of the Pac-12. That's what should have happened.
Oh, for sure.
But guess what they were?
For sure.
They were Mark Richt, Georgia. That's what he was.
Yeah, let's not forget that he was also at FIU, stunk there. The guy, his overall head coaching record is a 50-50. He's literally 50-50 on his head coaching record, and he has had so much more to work with as a coach than I think what Billy has. He had to build in Louisiana. He had a good team last year. He had a talented team, Billy did last year. I don't think he had a good team. I don't think that was a cohesive unit that played well together. First
smart thing you said, Steve.
Thank you very much, and I appreciate that. I've been talking to you for going on 2 years now on this channel, and that's the first time you've ever said that to me.
First and last.
I won't expect it again.
Let's go ahead and move on so we don't ruin it.
I just don't think that. I don't think that. Right. I just don't think that Cristobal has shown he has the ability to turn a team around at all.
Not at all. I want to say one last thing. They had Danny Cannell. Is Danny a FSU fan? Can you confirm or deny?
Danny Cannell played for Florida State.
Okay, so yes. So he
went to the Giants.
He was on their show, and they were talking about Florida State joining the SEC, and Brandon Walker, who is a Mississippi State fan, said, are you going to cheer for the SEC now if FSU were to join? And he goes, no way, I'm not going to be like one of those guys like your Floridas and Bamas who cheers for the SEC to be successful. And Brandon Walker gets all excited, and he goes, yeah, I don't do that. I'm not Mississippi State. We don't cheer for the SEC when to win the national championship. Brandon, nobody wants Mississippi State in the SEC. You're like the ugly stepchild that nobody wants in the family, right? When we all go to dinner, like, shit, we got to invite Brandon, right? And then you just happen to show up. So you're not cheering for your family. We're not cheering for you, okay? You provide zero value to this family. I'll take Vanderbilt over you, Mississippi State. So don't come around here like you're this big bad wolf because like, oh, I don't cheer for the SEC. We weren't cheering for you in the first place. We almost forgot you even existed here, okay, Mississippi State? So don't come in like you have some platform to stand on, and he knows they suck, right? So you try to play this like cool, like, oh, I know we're trash. I'm cool with it. Fuck that. That's the shit that you try. I don't appreciate that. Come out. If you're going to be a Mississippi State fan and wear your colors, own your shit, big guy, okay? Don't come and say like, oh, I don't. You're not good at anything. You provide zero value to the conference. Zero.
So let's talk about it here real fast. Who
talk about
it right now? Who would you rank as the worst team in the SEC? Football.
For football,
obviously.
I mean, shit. Vandy kind of was nice, but it's probably gonna be Vandy.
They have some moments, right? They have some.
It's gonna be Vandy. I'm not gonna be an idiot about it.
Right.
But look, they're good at baseball and they're smart.
Yep.
They know I'm cool with that. That's fine. They gave me Dansby Swanson. Vandy will forever be. I will be forever in debt to Vandy. So they're cool in my book.
Yeah, look, Mississippi State is. I think they reached their cap with Dak Prescott. I don't know if they'll ever see another upward trajectory for that school again. Like it's just that it's
they just exist.
Considering they just exist. They're just there. They got smoked. I won't say smoked by Pitt last night, but again, they're not really out there like in any sport predominantly making an impact on the conference itself. And look, for an FSU fan who, like Danny Cannell was talking about, well, what would you do if you got to the SEC? Would you start being an SEC chanter? I don't really see that either. Don't get me wrong. FSU and Clemson, and
it's going to be hard for you to do that.
That way.
Yeah, you cheered against it for so long. That's going to be something hard for you to swallow. But look, if it becomes part of your brand, I mean, that just is what it is. Like eventually, that'll all go by the wayside, and we'll all be cheering for each other. I'll never cheer for Florida State. I don't care what conference they're in. And that's going to kind of throw things off. I honestly would prefer if you guys went to the Big Ten because I don't want you part of this family. That's how I look at it.
So
I would mind Clemson.
What you're saying is Mississippi State is the scary uncle that comes to Thanksgiving, and then Florida State is like the cousin that you just never get along with.
No, they're like the sister-in-law that married into the family. Are like, I don't know what the fuck he was thinking, but clearly she must got some good cooter because I don't know why the hell he's still with her. That's who FSU is.
Oh boy,
that's who FSU is to me.
The analogies are flowing out of you tonight.
I'm on a. Let's go,
You're
baby.
on a tear. That video got you worked up. It
really did. It really pissed me off, bro. It really pissed me
off. On the precast, it just really got you going early. I'm surprised you were so calm with Soderquist earlier.
Yeah, it fires me up because again, like I'm not here to talk shit about anybody having like a podcast or doing whatever. Like, do you like whatever? But look, you can't. I mean, you can do whatever you want, I guess. But just have a little more knowledge. You run a brand. You run a Barstool brand. We come with a lot of credibility because you're part of Barstool. It's just with power comes great responsibility, and I feel like you're kind of abusing it a little bit. That was all. That's all I'm saying. Yeah. Moving on to this new proposed schedule in the SEC. You guys kind of asked our opinions about it. I did say Cooter. You guys asked our opinion about that. Like I kind of didn't really talk about it too much, but I heard Nick Saban speak on it. He was frustrated about the new proposed schedule. So what's being talked about right now is you have 3-6-6. So you'll have 3 teams that you play consistently every year. Then you'll have 6 teams that you play. The following year you'll play a whole new 6, and then the year after that you'll play that original 6. So you'll only go a year without playing somebody. The 3 teams that Alabama is being proposed to play every year at the moment is Tennessee, LSU, and Auburn. How this was being projected is based on the last 10 years, their winning percentage. They basically got points for their winning percentages. Auburn, obviously, LSU being at a top tier. I would say tier 1 and tier 2. Tennessee being that lower tier, that third tier. And Nick's obviously a little upset about this because Tennessee at the moment doesn't appear to be in that lower tier. You can almost look at they're all in a top tier bracket. You made a great point in the beginning. It's like, look, maybe Tennessee is moving up, but Auburn hasn't shown any signs of moving up, only going downwards. So you kind of just flip-flop the two. I thought it was kind of funny because he's whining about that. When Florida plays LSU, Georgia, and Tennessee every single year already. So it's going to be interesting to see who's
clearly on an upward trajectory. Like those are teams that feel
constantly.
like that they're getting better. Yeah.
And so it's going to be interesting to see who Florida gets. I think as SEC fans, I don't think we're going to be happy about this. We're going to lose a lot of history with this. I think you have to keep Georgia, and I think this is where the Jacksonville game goes away. Do we lose LSU?
Yeah.
I don't know. That one's a tough one for me. Do we lose? I don't want to lose Tennessee. I don't want to lose Georgia. Kentucky, I don't really care about that much. I honestly don't. It's a fun one for sure, but to me, it doesn't really feel like it's that. I hate going there. It's not a fun place to go play. Obviously, I hope we don't get Vandy. It'd be nice to get it, right? I think like it'd be nice because having that easy schedule. But for me, I don't like that. I like watching the tough games. I think that's fun for me. That's even though it's brutal. And Nick commented on. I saw this on Josh Pate's thing where he said, "Look, I want to play more harder games, but it doesn't benefit us to do that. The rules don't favor playing more harder schedules." Right? Because like that's why we had those cupcake games in there because what's the point of getting our teeth kicked in and week out? It doesn't do us any favors. You got teams like Cincinnati and others scooting in who were, have a mid to low schedule, USC, Oklahoma for a little bit. Why am I going to bust my ass, right? So I don't think Pete fans are going to like it. I'm going to like playing 9 conference games. That's like I think I've said that before. But it was just funny to hear Saban whine about it, and it's like, well, Florida's been doing that already.
I think what that's a sign of is that that maybe Nick, in his old age, is starting to see that maybe potentially there's a twilight there, that it's getting harder and harder and harder to keep up because of the NIL now, and which isn't something that I think he's used to. I don't think that's something he's accustomed to. Obviously, you can bring in staff and you can have consultants that can help you through all the legalities of that. I just don't think it's something that he's comfortable with, not just naturally recruiting a kid who wants to come to the school. So I think that's one thing that's a little bit taking him out of his element. And then I don't think the schedule's the next thing. He just feels like he's uncomfortable. I don't think that what they did last year with the team that he thought he had was up to his standard, even though he said that the year prior was really kind of a warm-up year. I don't think that came to fruition. There's always been, it seems like, a lot of just coaching transition at Alabama, that it feels like even though there's always just guys that come in, the home for wayward boys, the Sarkisians, the Pruitts, and guys like that end up just moving on to something else. They always just plug and play. And maybe that's just starting to get exhausting to constantly have your coaching staff turning over. So I don't know. It just feels a little odd for a team that has been, for the last decade plus, just dominant, to have a coach that's whining about something like what the potential schedule may be. And look, I haven't really dove into this all that much, but Texas A&M, if I'm looking at this correctly, Texas A&M's 3 locked-ins are LSU, Oklahoma, and Texas. I haven't heard shit out of Jimbo Fisher. That's the word. I'm looking at the entire.
Brutal. What's Florida's?
Projection. Georgia, Kentucky, and Tennessee.
Ugh.
And this is coming from fans sided. So look.
Losing LSU. I would like to add Oklahoma to that. I heard Oklahoma, and our Oklahoma fan in here, he would like Oklahoma as well too, Hank. Look, we've always tossed this around. I feel like we toss this idea around at the same time every year. It's kind of like the Tom Brady thing. I feel like all these things are just eventually going to push Saban out sooner rather than later. Like I look, the guy isn't missing a beat. Just came off the #1 recruiting class. I don't think he's slowing down any, but it's you keep throwing on more rules and more hoops to jump through. Look, me myself, I'm not old. I'm getting older, learning new technology and new things gets frustrating. Even with this, like AI's coming out and all these things are coming out, I get a little exhausted. Like, fuck, that's another thing I got to go learn. And at 60, well, I don't know I have zero clue how old he is, but at some point it's like,
70.
oh golly, yeah. At some point it's like, dude, I gotta pull the plug here, boys. I'm getting my ass kicked day in and day out. Like it's just another process I have to learn, and it's like I don't have the bandwidth to pick this up. Look, again, coming off a number recruiting class, do I think so? Look, I think how this year plans out is going to be interesting. I could see him maybe before the transition happens, maybe making it to that first year, seeing what the schedule's going to be like. You're like, yeah, I'm not going through that gauntlet. I did my time here. It could be, look, I could be completely wrong. He might stay around and just figure it out and dominate that even more. But I don't know, man. I think Father Time's going to catch him. Some of these older
guys, like some of these 70-year-old guys, right? And we both got like grandpas that are just these resilient bastards, right? You're just like, they just don't go down. They just don't go down. Like this guy's 70 years old and is just grinding through what it takes to be a college football coach, still recruiting, doing all the things. It's a ton of work to be 71 years old. At 71 years old, man, I don't want to be doing a quarter of what this guy's doing. I want to be basically just laying there, just waiting for my time.
I think he's going to do what Brady did, unfortunately, and stay almost too long. And then at the end of the season, realize like, yeah, I should have left last season, and kind of limp his way out. That's my projection for Nick Saban's retirement. Real quick before we go on to, I forgot to go over this before we move into some other talk. Have you heard about this kid? I call it double-sided tape. Here was my little click liner here. He pitches with a left arm and a right arm in college. Mississippi State kid. He's lined up to pitch Friday and Saturday.
All right, you got to add one letter to it.
So he pitches right-handed.
Okay, right-handed. Yep.
Let me see if I get him left-handed here. And then here's him left-handed.
Oh.
Yeah. And he's a starting pitcher for both days.
Oh, what? How fast?
This is the same game. He's going back and forth here, which is very interesting. Like, I mean, obviously you always want to pitch on the same side as the batter. It's harder to read the ball while he's flipping. So it's a massive advantage to obviously have that. And
you got to keep two gloves. That's not easy to do.
I think the glove is just made to fit the hand. Like there's a quick rotation in there. There's other guys that do this, but it's just kind of cool to see someone in high school doing this. Yeah, they have it kind of like a universal glove now. Because there is a pro pitcher that does this as well too. But I saw the Mississippi lineup today, and he's Friday, Saturday, and then it's a new guy on Sunday. And the picture just rotated. It was like him over here, and then it was him over here. It's pretty awesome.
That's pretty exciting. So basically, we've moved on from the Tim Wake knuckleball that nobody could hit to.
I love that you know that. Like that just shows how old and just decrepit you are. Because my stepdad and I, we would always play MLB like 2003 on PlayStation.
Oh, you couldn't hit the damn thing, bro.
Bro, and he would always use fucking Tim Wakefield and just I'd be throwing a fit.
Twins? Was it the Twins or the Mets?
Red Sox. Red Sox. I thought.
That was it.
And just throw. You couldn't hit it in a baseball in a video game. It was miserable.
Oh.
Miserable.
Oh.
And I'm just throwing a fit, like 10 years old, just throwing an absolute fit. I mean, no different than what I do now.
David throwing the remote. He's teaching you how to be a sport, and take the beating. But he never takes his foot off the gas, right? He just keeps knuckling you.
No shot.
You're just like, okay.
Brutal.
I like that, dude. I had a game like that with my dad. Like it was like a wrestling game, and he only used one dude. It was this guy that had the iron claw, and the guy my father knew no moves. He didn't know how to bounce off the ropes. He didn't know how to come off the top rope. He didn't know how to do like elbows if you were on the ground, like any of the real game mechanics. He knew one move, and he would iron claw my ass to death, and I would just go bananas, bro. Bananas. I'd practice that game while he was at work, and he'd come home and I'd annoy him until he played video games with me, and he'd kick my ass again, and I'd just go to bed pissed. And that's a flash into 10-year-old Stephen Hawley.
I can't wait to play with old B-Dog. Some video games, show him a thing or two. Moving on to some Jags talk. It has been a busy day for NFL, free agency, all of the above. It's been an exciting one to say the least. I think it's fun. Baker Mayfield again to the Bucs. Interesting play there. Zeke cut by the Cowboys. Darius Slay cut by the Eagles. And once that happened, the world was set on fire. Okay? It was Greg the Iron Steel, by the way. The world was set on fire. Tyson Campbell tweeted out little eyeballs, which seemed to be a really trendy topic on Twitter now. Kind of like, what's up? Like we trying to link up. Fred Taylor got in on the action. Former Jaguar saying we need to go do this. And we talked last week about the mock draft and going and getting a cornerback, right? And Porter, right, is his name. I can't.
Joey Porter Jr.
Joey Porter Jr. And I obviously pitched for a guard to come in for that. But this would be an interesting pickup. We also talked, again, it was more of a fanatic thought process on Derrick Henry coming to the Jaguars or being traded to the Jaguars. I was speaking more like it was fun to talk about it. Obviously, would that trade ever happen, in the same division? Probably not. But what I was saying more so was going after somebody like that shows that we are here to win now. So the question is, is it smart for the Jaguars to go and get somebody like a Darius Slay, pay the extra bill, and then it allows for that 24th pick now to go to maybe like a Darnell Washington, the tight end from Georgia, who kind of plays as an addition to the line as well as a security blanket to Trevor Lawrence, because right now Marvin Jones he's on free agent. He's not signed currently, so we did lose him. Now, we did get Calvin Ridley. Marvin Jones really didn't do too much. He was more of kind of like a vet guy that was supposed to come in and help. But so is it worth the package? Is it a 5-time Pro Bowler, or do we go to the draft and go get somebody like a Porter or somebody else? Is it where's the value at in your opinion on this?
Well, so right now the Jaguars, after re-signing Andrew Wingard at safety, which I think was a very solid move from a personnel standpoint, from a draft cap. Or a salary cap standpoint, I think it was a very, very good move. But that only leaves us with about maybe $5,250,000 million on our total salary cap, and that includes who we have to sign in the draft. So, look, I like Darius Slay. Who's going to say no to a 5-time Pro Bowler? Who's going to say no to a guy that has literally, I believe in your own words, got you more interceptions in Madden than anybody else. My opinion is this: if you go after him, you are doing exactly what you just mentioned here a moment ago. Is you are buying into winning right now. Now, let's be honest: the Jaguars weren't a 3-14 football team last year. This is a playoff team. They're not that many pieces away. Personally, if I were the GM or I was the head coach and I had a say in the matter, I would say we go after Darius Slay. We backfill Shaq Griffin. We go after a guy that we know can make an instant impact, and we don't risk the 24th pick on hoping that the guy that we want at that pick is still available. I think this is a better opportunity. It's free agency in the NFL. This is not, this is not a guarantee. We have to present ourselves as a city. We have to present ourselves as the ability to market for him outside of that, like car, advertisements and other things like that. There could be other more enticing offers, but I would take everything I could get, toss it at Darius Slay, lock down the secondary, and show that we're ready to win right now. You got to get a solid backup for Shaq, and I just don't know if the 24th pick,
Shaq wasn't,
if you could really bet on it.
Shaq wasn't the starter. Switching hats.
And he was hurt. He was hurt a good bit. He had a back injury that kept him out, but he was supposed to be. And if he's not now, who's the guy?
Yeah, look, I would love this. Obviously, I mean, it's a splash pickup. Typically, these things are more what the fans talk about and what could be, what if, how it should be. This is why we're on the couch talking about it, not actually, in the war zone. I wouldn't be surprised that even Muddy's talking about this. The Eagles still could pick up Darius Slay. Again, he tweeted out, "See you later, Eagles," and that's kind of when the noise started to pick up. To me, again, this fills in that void of like, look, you go get somebody like a Darius Slay that lets everybody know, the fan base and the team, that, hey, we're bought in to win right now. And like you said, you get a little bit more of power in that draft stock, right? Where it's not necessarily a must get, but now it's like, okay, how can we make this pick as beneficial as possible? We have
best player available now.
Best player available, yeah. Like that's going to make an impact right away. Yeah, we're not trying to fill something, right? We're not trying to. It's not putting a piece together. It's no, we're doubling down here. We're going for W's. Zeke being cut, I heard some kind of noise again. fanatic talk more than anything of possibly being picked up by the Jags. That's an interesting one. I think we could get him pretty cheap. I don't think he's going to be very hot in the market. Again, it's more of a fun thing to talk about. The likelihood of that happening, and the Cowboys actually letting him go, very unlikely. Is that somebody who we want to go get? No, I'd rather obviously go get Darius Slay. I think the running back room is healthy, especially with ETN back there and Agnew. But it is interesting to see. And I see Muddy in here talking about, too, key to the Titans. I wanted you to kind of go over that because we were talking about that precast as well. As a lot of fans are freaking out about it, but it's not as, I think, as bad as it may be appear on the outside.
Yeah, look, I mean, his production when he was on the field was very, very high. And if you go into the way that the NFL scores each position and just kind of, the algorithm that tells you like the value of the player when he's on the field, Arden Key was very, very valuable. Problem with Arden Key is that he didn't even meet the minimum number of snaps to be considered in that, even like categorized with the other players at his position. Not saying that the guy can't be good, not saying the guy can't be great, but the Titans are going to pay $21 million to a guy that we couldn't get on the field with a defense that I don't believe was above top 15 in the NFL overall. We couldn't get him on the field enough to even put him in the algorithm to score him against most of the starters. Again, I think he's got the talent. And I don't believe that he's a bust of a pick for the Titans at all. I just believe that with such a small sample size, that's a lot of money for somebody who you just haven't seen play quite enough in that position.
Sure, and I think again, more so going to the Titans is where the sting happens. It's inside the division type of pickup. But look, that's just kind of like you said. I think if we're trying to weigh out our apples and oranges and where the money's going to go, we're not losing too much with this. As much as it's kind of like a fan favorite, we can focus elsewhere and try to keep it moving. Juwan Taylor, obviously, too, offensive tackle, signed with the Chiefs. Good for him, former Gator player, signing a fat deal. So love seeing that for him. And look, it seems like the Chiefs ain't slowing down either. So spending money, keeping the pedal to the metal and moving and grooving. So.
Yeah, how they keep doing it, I really don't understand. It just feels like they always have just star power everywhere on the defensive side of the ball. The tackle position with Nani, and I know he's moved on, but it just feels like they always just have these studs at like the outside linebacker position, the defensive tackle position. They've got Kelsey, they've got Mahomes at quarterback, and it just always feels like they have all this talent. You just wonder how in the world do they keep affording it, and they just don't have these salary cap busts. And yet here are the Jaguars, who's a relatively young team, who are having to really move around some pieces here in order to give ourselves the flexibility that we feel we need in order to plug holes in the roster. It's what they've like. This is I think one thing that gets overlooked a lot in the NFL is it's not so much about how well you play on the field, it's how well you play off the field. And some of these players, a lot like Tom Brady, were taking less money to stay with the core and keep the team successful. And, some other players just don't do that when they're at, teams that, for them, their career is very short. So why would I not take as much money as I can get? You get these teams that are just on this dynasty roll, and they'll start taking less money to stay with that team.
Yeah, just to build it for sure. And obviously, Travis Ingram got that franchise tag. It feels more it was just a temporary tag to eliminate a negotiation during this hectic time. Put it to the back burner. Let's reconvene during the summer, and we'll figure it out from there. That's kind of the noise that I'm hearing about old TE there. So we'll see how that plays out over the next few months as well with him. But before we move on to our next topic, want to give a shout out to our sponsor, Manscaped. Now sells beard products. That's right. They're once again revolutionizing men's grooming with brand new Beard Hedger. From a beard trim to a fresh shave, the technology behind the Beard Hedger allows you to shape your signature beard look. Now you can finally use Manscaped products to make your drapes match your carpet by going to manscaped.com and using the code HIGHTOP for 20% off and free shipping. I actually trimmed up my beard just the other day. It was kind of getting a little... It was getting in my mouth, man. I was eating it, so I was sick of it. So I love it, dude. It's an incredible kit, man. It feels like I'm growing up. I'm maturing, which is it's very I'm getting old, It's kind of
I don't want to hear anything about you maturing. You know what happens when I trim my beard? And I've used the beard trimmer. That thing is amazing. I could literally mow my yard with that thing. You know what happens for me, Shelton, when I take down the beard a little bit? It gets the gray out of my head.
Yeah, you look old as shit, bro.
Yeah, I do. If I let this puppy grow anything beyond maybe a 2 guard at best, I look like I'm just disheveled and I should be maybe potentially living under an overpass. So I get this thing cleaned up a little bit. You can't even tell. I'm not nearly as old as I look on camera.
You're old. Before I get into this next topic, which you aren't prepared for, sometimes I like to throw little raw dogs at Steve here, keep him on his toes, keep him fresh, see if he still has what it takes to be here, I don't know if you saw, but Pat McAfee went live today with Aaron Rodgers, had almost 500,000 people watching him live, which is just incredible to think of. I don't even think First Take, ESPN, CNN, NBC, CBS does that. So shout out to McAfee for getting that done. But there's something interesting I love to see. Obviously Aaron doesn't talk to anybody. He just, kind of sticks to himself. And he talked about, which he kind of gets a lot of flack, and all these guys get a lot of flack, and people kind of create noise, and these guys don't say anything back, so the noise becomes truth and whatever it may be. He goes, what's his name? What's the guy's name, bro? My goodness. The football man who always reports the news, who always breaks the news. What's his name? Scheffler. He goes, Scheffler texted me.
I pulled that out of my ass already. I can only imagine what's coming next. So I'm on fire. Go ahead.
Scheffler texted Aaron Rodgers basically trying to get some scoop. And Aaron basically said to F off in so many words. I can't remember the exact text. And Scheffler confirmed that it did happen. What it showed me, which, again, Aaron's not going to get any credit for this, is be like, look, Aaron always tells us kind of the truth on the Pat McAfee shows, just tells us how it is. And we try to say, oh, was he really telling the truth? He's screwing around? These are one of those times, it's like, look, he's backing up his bark. Even Scheffler's like, yeah, I did. Basically, he said, lose my number, is what he said. He said, nice try, lose my number. That's what it was.
That's amazing.
Right? That's huge. That's some good stuff. I love seeing it. All right, Steve. So you're not prepared for this. And I'm going to come at you a little bit on this one. And look, as a fan, I expect you to react a certain way. As the opposing fan, I'm going to come at you a certain way. This is a little pathetic to me, in my opinion. Oh my gosh. I didn't see this. I'm going to pull it up so you can see this. The Florida State Seminoles actual website, okay, has created a campaign page for Jordan Travis for Heisman. That is a clean photo. I can't lie. They did a great job with their editing.
They've worked on that. Yeah, that's been out for a little bit. Okay.
So you know about this? You know about this page?
I haven't seen the page.
They literally, so the Oscars just ended. I feel like it's an Oscar. Like, it's that they're marketing for an Oscar movie. Like, they're trying to represent, like, hey, we're the best movie around. Come take a look. We're a dynamic playmaker. We're one of a kind. Like, this is a PowerPoint you do when you go for an interview, right? Here's Jordan Travis by the numbers. Just in case the committee had no clue, here's a website for you. I got to be honest, this is low. Like, just go play the game. Go play the football game. You went 10-3 last year. You barely beat Oklahoma. All right, you don't win any of the most important games except Florida. You didn't play in the ACC championship, and now you're hyper-focused on winning the Heisman. Be hyper-focused on winning the ACC championship. Like, look, I could be wrong here, and you're probably going to love this and blow this to the end of time. But, Florida State, in my opinion, they always find a way to kind of look like an idiot. And this is just one more way of them kind of looking dumb.
Okay.
What do you think, Steve?
I think that Heisman campaigns have been around since as long as the Heisman mattered to the production, to just putting the school in the forefront of the media. I mean, I want to say Baker Mayfield, when he was at Oklahoma, Oklahoma paid for a billboard for him in Times Square. Like, I mean, I can go back and look, but oh, no, it was Joey Harrington. That's how far back this shit went. In Times Square, just underneath the Empire State Building, there is a picture of Joey Harrington that is the size of the entire effing building, not the Empire State Building one next to it. Looks to be about maybe 20, 25 stories high. They spent $250,000 on a 10-story billboard in Manhattan. This was at the Joey Harrington. I mean, if you look at a situation where they talk about how much somebody spent like in the 1940s, and they always kind of retro it to like, oh, by the way, that's 17 times how much that is now. $250,000 on a 10-story building in Manhattan to promote Joey Harrington as the Heisman Trophy candidate. This is not new. This has been around clearly since at least Joey Harrington, which is 15 years ago. Like, what are you talking about?
Can I go?
Yes, whatever. Do whatever.
So you're supporting my argument. So they for Joey Harrington, I don't even recognize the name. They bought this man a billboard for $250,000 15 years ago, and all your boy Jordan Travis is getting a website. You just basically
prevalent.
Okay, but it's the investment. It's not necessarily the fact that it's a billboard. You're looking at it wrong. This website costs $2 to make. If you really care about Jordan Travis winning, go buy yourself an entire ad and run it on TikTok for a week. You spent $250,000 on a billboard. You're losing this one.
What was his knee in the spring? Like, what are you talking about?
If you're bought into building him a website with highlight tapes, I feel like I'm back to recruiting. It's just recruiting season. Here's his highlights down here. Here's the photo. Look at this. Photos of him holding the Cheez-It belt. These are the 3 photos. Here are his highlights of last year. This is what we're going on off of. A stiff arm to a 7-6 Gator team, the Cheez-It Bowl against a 6-6 Oklahoma team, and then him passing wide open. No, this photo's clean. I ain't gonna lie. It looks like the Heisman right there. That's a clean photo. It's a low moment. Look, and I expect you to defend it. I wouldn't expect you not to defend this. If it was the other way around, I would have a way better argument than you do right now. And look, you weren't prepared, and that's why I have to do these things. He's Googling everything, just fucking hitting the button.
No, I'm looking at it. I'm trying to look at some of the other ones. Like, I don't see.
You can't find them. I've never seen anything like this before my entire life.
2015, they had one for Dalvin.
So just FSU does this shit.
Oh, Christ Almighty with you.
We don't need websites. We just win them, boys. Did Caleb Williams have a website last year? I don't think he did.
We'll find out. Oh, Caleb Williams Heisman campaign. Look at that. USC turns up the heat on the Heisman campaign. Yeah, because you have to at least wait for them to play a game.
So even more reason why FSU looks like an idiot.
Whole lot of Twitter. No, I don't see anything. Like, there's nothing for this guy. I'm on the USC. Like,
there's nothing for Caleb, and he won. Okay, look, that's fine. You don't need to say anything else. Look, what we can do, because you weren't prepared, we can make this a part 2. But it just wanted to, I saw this, I was like, oh, Steve's coming. Steve's getting the hands. Steve's catching. Steve's catching.
You got to at least throw it out there that the guy should be considered. Like, you don't. I
don't disagree. I just feel like, look, we already know this. We've already talked about it. You don't have to go put a website together. If you truly think he's the guy, go buy a fucking billboard. I'm like, yo, that's kind of hard. Like, they're all in on this guy being the Heisman. Like UFC, when they won the national championship, they bought a billboard. Respect. Even now, like, it's billboards cost money. Sack up.
No. When did USC buy a billboard? When was that?
Or UCF, excuse me. When UCF won the championship, they bought a billboard letting everybody know they were national champions. Now, that was after the fact, but.
Well, yeah, that was after the fact. How about we see how this goes? We'll see how it goes. Let's
typical FSU fashion. In typical FSU fashion, you guys don't want to go all in because you know the chances of you actually winning are very slim, and you don't want to look like an idiot. That's a typical FSU fashion. That's all I gotta say.
That's fair enough. That's fair enough, and this is why you saved it for a surprise.
I mean, what do you want me to do? It makes it fun. If you were ready for it, you wouldn't be as flustered. I had to keep you off guard. One last thing.
Is this another one that I don't know?
No. This is just me going on a quick rant really quick. It's about golf, so no one's going to listen. I just want to say this, okay? I saw a thing, again, this comes on Barstool and Bogey in Foreplay or whatever the show is called. They're basically like hyping up Scotty Scheffler and him being this great. Look, Scotty Scheffler has doing some great things. The guy is a phenomenal golfer. Let's not get it twisted. The guy is ruining golf, though. He is the most boring thing I have ever seen in my entire. I thought Jordan Spieth was a square. This man right here, Scotty Scheffler, like he's wearing two-tone blue on Sunday, right? They go, hey, what are you doing later on tonight, Scheffler? He goes, Grandma made dessert. I'm heading over to her house. You're 26 years old. You just won the Players. What are we doing here, dude? And the guys on Foreplay like, we have to understand he's creating a legacy. He's winning. He's doing really good. Bro, Tiger was doing that, banging hoe after hoe for a decade and a half, okay? This guy's been doing it for a year and a half. Let's calm down. We all did it. We all got excited when Rory did it. We all got excited when Spieth did it. Scotty's got a long way to go, okay? a long way to go. Is he playing some incredible golf right now? Absolutely. Is he crushing it? Absolutely. It sucks because he's just dominating everybody. The guy doesn't have a care in the world, like zero care. That's why he's just able just to go and to smash everybody. You could even make the argument too with what Liv is going on. He's going up against scrubs every weekend. You got a lot of guys. Like, I mean, you got some old guys going over there too. But DJ, these guys that if they're in it on Sunday, they're giving you a run for your money. You got Cam Smith, who was making an absolute run to be the number one in the world. He goes over to Liv. Bryson DeChambeau, kind of a flat on his face. Brooks Koepka, who's still in his prime, great golfer. He's over at Liv. So, look, I typically don't like that argument, but in a time right now when this has never existed in golf, when you have a chunk of some studs that are in a completely different category, look, the guy's thriving. He beat Mi Woo Sim. Who the fuck is Mi Woo Sim? Like, the guy who finished in second was Hodge, I believe, and Hodge shot 10 under. The guy was 5 under starting the day. Scotty Scheffler was 12 under. So he finished in second because he had a hell of a day, but he never had a chance. Everybody who was close to Scotty Scheffler, I was like, there's no way they're going to win. Their balls are going to clam up. They're going to suck up to their ball sack or to their asshole, and they're going to choke. I've seen it 1,000 times. I've been watching golf my entire life. You know the dogs, huh?
Manscape it.
Yeah, you know the dogs from the Killers. On Saturday, I texted Ryan. I go, Scotty's got in the bag. He's like, it's a long time. I was like, Scotty's not going to choke, and everybody who's playing they have no clue what to expect on Sunday. They are going to be shivering come on Sunday, and Scotty doesn't give a fuck because he knows he's got grandma's moon pie waiting for him when he gets home. Okay, so.
Yeesh. Yeah, I'll say this from a guy who was at the tournament. It sucked having. Okay, so look, I'm not a huge golf guy. You know this, right? But I at least know the names, right? I know who's competitive. I know, like you said, who's going to be that dog on a Sunday. And if they're in striking distance, you got to watch them. Man, I'll be honest with you. On Friday, I was looking at the leaderboard and I'm like, who are these people? I don't know anybody. Yeah. I mean, Rory McIlroy didn't make the cut, if I'm not mistaken. Colin Morikawa, I had to look his name up.
Colin Morikawa is good. No, Colin's good. Colin's one of the best iron strikers.
But again, like, I mean, if you're not a golf fan and you don't follow it, I don't know who the F that guy is.
No, if you're a golf fan,
I kept looking at the leaderboard.
You know who Colin is. Careful.
Yeah,
you're gonna lose credit.
I kept looking at it, and I'm like, I don't even want to walk to a hole to watch any of these guys because I'm just kind of so like lost a little bit on like where the competitiveness was. And I don't know. It just felt weird for somebody who lives in Jacksonville, just like you. Obviously, not a golf enthusiast, or I don't follow it a ton. But having gone to TPC so many times, I could at least look up and say, I'll walk over to 12 and watch this guy come down, or I'll, to Tigers on.
Golf's in a weird place. Golf's in a very,
very odd spot.
Unfortunate.
It made me being there as an active participant, not an active participant. I didn't care to go watch any golf. It was very strange.
Megan, I see you decided to come in and choose violence today. Okay, be careful. All right, I'm not afraid to swing right now. All right, I'm fired up. Muddy, you're about to go to bed at the wrong time. We're about to do March Madness bracket, bro. What are you doing here? Megan says, if I were a Gator, I'd be talking golf too. Look, that's a fair shot, right? Look, you're Georgia. You're back to back. Congratulations to you. You can kind of take advantage of that. I understand you probably can't grasp around golf and understand what it is. You Georgia fans, not the sharpest tool in the shed. So I'm not going to even try to have that conversation with you. Okay, congrats to your back-to-back championship, though. Don't even get me started with that. All right, let's do it. So we have. Look at this. She's still going. Remember when Mullen was a genius and Kirby couldn't coach? I never said that. So, and Mullen can coach. He just doesn't recruit. But
that was his downfall. Like he even said it. Like it's not recruiting seasons. It's football season. Like no coach.
All right, boys.
It's always both. Let's do this thing.
Let's do this thing. This is our annual March Madness bracket. We did it last year. We've got over like 37, 40-something brackets in here, which is really cool to see. Let me go ahead and pull this up so you guys don't give me shit for having all these freaking tabs open, which is probably already too late anyways. But okay. So, yeah, a lot of brackets. If you haven't joined, you're an idiot. It's a $200, $250 free entry. Obviously, we're going to try to win it so we can keep it in-house, but Steve and I are going to go back and forth here. We have our reasoning. What's kind of cool, quick background story. I mean, if you're still here, you can hang out for the story. Our the show started right around this time 2 years ago. We hadn't had the show yet. I hadn't bought the house yet, my house that I live in currently, but the idea of the show had already started talking, and we were like, man, we can't wait for March Madness. And we were like obviously pitching ideas and just had a ton of ideas based off March Madness. It's kind of was like the birthing of our show was surrounded around this because it's just such a fun time. I love March Madness. I can't stand when people like they don't like it. You know what I mean? It really upsets me because I think it's so fun. It's great for the sport. It's a good time. And I've been doing it forever, and I will always make sure that I do it. I have a lot of good memories of doing it with my grandparents and my mom and just when I was a kid. And it's something I will always treasure, and I can't wait to do it with my kids. All right. First thing first, let's go Alabama, Texas A&M, CC. I mean, it's a no-brainer, right, Stevie?
No brainer.
Okay. Maryland versus West Virginia. Let's go to the charts here. It's a close one, as they always are. Big 12, probably arguably the best conference in basketball against Maryland. The Big 10 running in a close second here. Steve and I, we already kind of did a little bit of background check. We kind of use the same methodology when picking these teams. We look at their last 5, who they played. The points per game is a big thing that I look at, right? If I got a baller here, which I like seeing this, strength of schedule is a big thing that you look at. I'm not a huge fan of this because strength of schedule is subjective. It's based on what they feel is hard, right? And they being the experts, right? And I understand they're the experts, but again, they feel that this conference is stronger, so that team's going to get more credit. That doesn't necessarily mean it is. It's just that's how they feel. And it's mostly right. I'm not saying they're not right. But look at this injury report here, though. We got a couple from West Virginia. I don't know if this guy was averaging a solid 0.8 points a game, and this guy was averaging 4 points a game. So I'm probably not missing too much, if I had to guess. Minutes per game, 10 and 1. Yeah. So nothing serious.
Maybe some depth, but that's about it. I still see just based on record versus the top 25. You got pretty much a identical record there. Yeah. I think it takes. This is different than football. Football, sometimes you can win on defense alone. I think in college, especially basketball, you got to score.
I think score points. I think this right here. You got Iowa State, a top school. Kansas State, I have going pretty far. Texas Tech, not too good. But then Kansas, you lose to Kansas, who's obviously favored to win by many people. And the Maryland's got Penn State, who you're high on. Ohio State, Minnesota, and Indiana's very weak. I'm liking West Virginia here, big guy.
Yep, I got them. Let's rock and roll.
All right, San Diego State and Charleston. So I did a bunch of research on this one game. And quick backstory on Charleston: there's a random award that's there's 2 people nominated for on the Charleston team. Last year, who won the award? They played on Chattanooga, who also made the tournament. They lost. The year before that, the person who won this award played on Oral Roberts, who went all the way to the Elite 8. My reasoning for that is whoever wins this award seems to have some good luck going into this tournament. Now, San Diego State, though, seems to be a pretty heavy favorite in this matchup, which concerns me. You got 7th strength of schedule versus 228, but look at the top 25.
I like that.
Look at the point, Steve.
I like that. I like that a lot. You got to score. We just talked about it. This is different. You got to score to win.
And their named and their mascot's a cougar. I mean, I like Charleston here, dude. I'm talking myself into it as we're sitting here.
Let's do it.
Okay.
Let's put a shocker in there on round 1.
Yeah, I hate it because it's probably we're gonna be like, why do we do that, right? When it happens, this is an interesting one because I feel like there's always gonna be a 13 and a 12. If I was gonna pick a 13 and a 12 matchup, this just feels right. Virginia, ACC, they're known to choke. They choked when they were the 1 seed not too long ago. Then they obviously rebounded it and won the championship just the year following. But they're a weirdly just functioning basketball team. They can screw it up at any time. And again, Furman comes in that kind of like weird category, putting up massive points. Look at this, 82. Okay, strength of schedule. Not really impressed with Virginia there. Net rank, not really impressed. I don't know, Steve. It feels good,
This was
right?
a tough one. This was a tough one. So the problem with Virginia is that they just keep the damn ball away from you. Like their time of possession, it's every single possession is the full play clock. And if you don't hit every shot, they just own the game. That's why their points per game are so low. They don't try to shoot. So it's a little flawed because I actually know a little bit about the way that team plays just from watching them over the last couple of years. But Look, if Furman can get on a run, if Furman can play fast, and then Virginia has
Papa Stokes is saying Furman. I think we're on the same. I'm telling you, this is my 13-12 matchup. All right, Creighton, NC State. Who are we feeling?
I'm taking Creighton there. I like Creighton. I think NC State's been slow. I think they've had a couple of injuries that have held them back throughout the year. But also, I just don't feel like they've ever been dominant. I don't think that they've ever shown that they can really just get out there and take control of the game.
You felt confident
I like
in that.
Creighton. Yep.
I like Baylor here. Baylor's dealing with a lot of injuries, from my understanding. Let's go check really quick here. Lanston Love, 6.6 a game. I thought they had more injuries. Maybe it was a different team.
I'll say this. I mean, I think considering the talent level of those two teams, even if they do have some injuries, as long as it's not long term, like the entire tournament, that you sit them for this game and you rest them, and hopefully you can get them back against that Creighton team. I'm taking Baylor in that one.
Okay. Look, to be fair, bro, the SEC is a powerhouse this year in the March Madness, more than normal. I am not sold on the SEC teams. I'm just fact. I don't have a lot of them moving on, and it starts with this one. I'm thinking Utah State.
Interesting. I had Missouri in my own bracket,
okay.
But I'm not going to take anything away from you. Like strength of schedule, Utah State played 13th in the Mountain West Conference in strength of schedule. They were 0-2 against the top 25. Missouri was 6-4. But I could see where you're coming from in regard to if you're just not feeling the confidence in maybe the way that the SEC is being ranked.
I have heard a lot of good things about Missouri, though. I will say that.
24-9 overall versus a 26-8 overall.
They got a guy named Kobe, though.
Yeah.
Oh, Mizzou's dealing with injuries. That's the team. I knew it was the yellowish team.
Oh my gosh, Missouri's got a ton.
So does Utah, though. So does Utah, though.
Out for the series.
I mean, look, this is 19 points a game, a guard right here, and you got 17 points a game, 17 minutes a game. There's some big guys there that are missing the game. That's a tough one. What do you think? 7 or 10?
Let's go 10. You get more points, and it's that close. I think we take the 10.
Okay, I'm taking Arizona here. Easy squeezy.
Yeah. Oh, hands down. Yeah.
Purdue. Memphis I'm pretty big on. I think you were big on Memphis too if we spoke last. I know Muddy had FAU. He was high on FAU kind of being a Cinderella story. I'm not big on Purdue, and we could have an upset. Not that's early though, but FAU, it's again, the strength of schedule is what concerns me. Memphis taking down Houston's massive in my opinion. UCF who just beat Florida. Both schedules are kind of whack. So I wish we had some sizes on this one. Typically we go to the drawing board. You got a 21 points a game from Kendrick Davis. When you got a player like that, to me, that's polarizing in a game like this. In a one-time play, you got a guy who can put up 21 points.
Yeah, in the last 10 games, Memphis has only lost 2, and that's both to Houston. One game by 2 points, the other one by 8. But I think that 8-point loss was more of just the way that they kind of fouled the game out. I mean, if you're only losing to one team in your last 10, and it's a combined total of 10 points, I feel like you've got a good squad. I'm going to go with Memphis there.
Okay. Oral Roberts to me, so I know that's a fun one to pick because what they did 2 years ago, here's my theory on teams like this. They did their job. The problem is now everybody knows that it's Oral Roberts, the Peacocks. They're expecting it. They're prepared for it. They're not going to do it anymore. That's my opinion. It's fun because at 12-5, it's if you've done this before, 12-5s are always very appealing, right? We've already done one. I think Duke is on a burner. I feel Duke's going pretty well. I don't think this is going to be close.
I agree. Neither team has any injuries. I don't think that Duke has lived up to their own personal expectations, but it's still Duke, and they've lost one game in the last 10. So I'm going to go with that to override Oral Roberts.
So back to my statement I said originally, I'm not bought in on SEC teams, and it starts again with Tennessee and Louisiana. You're always going to have a 13-4 that you got to keep an eye on because you don't think about it. 12-5s you expect. The 13-4s are the ones you don't expect where you get your teeth kicked in. Tennessee choked, I think, last year I think they choked.
Yes, badly.
Are they going to do it again, though? And I don't think they do. I want to
don't
click
think-
Louisiana, but I don't see them doing it again because of what happened last year. And they were a 1 seed last year.
Yeah, that's true. They lost as a 1. I think, depending on the amount of roster that you brought back, that's a hard L to take. And if you get all the way back into the tournament, regardless of your seed, you don't come back and let this slip through your fingers, especially in the first round. Tennessee's the right pick.
I don't know if I said this, but I'm not a believer in SEC teams this year. And I like Providence here. I don't really think there's much to talk about. Kentucky is in a weird downfall. Providence is one of those teams that entered into the tournament a few years ago. I've been doing this a long time, and Providence was one of those 12, 13, 14 seeds. That's how they started, had a big upset. And now they keep coming back each year, but they're not coming back as a 12 or 13. They're slowly moving up. And 11 seed's pretty healthy. That's a really good seed to me. They're on a good little run. They play in the Big East. To me, the Big East doesn't get enough love. I respect the Big East as a pretty respectable basketball conference. I know Marquette. I have Marquette. I'm pretty heavy on them. They're also from the Big East. Again, they're not getting a lot of love because that conference isn't getting a lot of love. In my opinion, the Big East is something to be reckoned with when it comes to basketball, and I like the Providence here.
Yeah, the Big East kind of gets in people's mind relegated because it's not in the college football stratosphere. So I think a lot of times it kind of gets pushed to the side. But Providence, and to your point, teams like Marquette, they are playing good teams throughout the year. They just don't get a lot of the publicity. I think Providence has a great shot at knocking off a 6 on the 11-6.
They've been going against the likes of UConn, which people have UConn going to the Final Four, even winning it. Xavier, who's highly seeded. Georgetown, which rest in peace to them. They used to be a great basketball school. Seton Hall as well. Villanova, don't know what the hell happened to them, but so be it. So Providence it is. Kansas State, Keontae from Florida, he's there. I think Kansas State has an opportunity to go really far here. It's a no-brainer to me, in my opinion.
Kansas State.
We'll go to Marquette really quick to move past that. Michigan State and USC is an interesting one. Austin's really put a bad taste in my mouth for USC. I would hate to see them win. Michigan State, though, to me, basketball school. USC, they made me a believer 2 years ago. When they were a 6 seed, they made a pretty healthy run. Fell short, though, early on in the Pac-12 tournament this year. I don't know about this one, to be honest with you. I would love to see what the chat has to say if they'd like to help out here.
Yeah, by all means. This is an odd one. It just, Michigan State historically has just been amazing under Izzo. They've had their ups, but even their downs weren't that bad. So that they can stay consistent. You're looking at a record versus top 25. They both played 4 games. The Big Ten, or at least Michigan State.
Played 8. Michigan State played 8 games, or 4 and 4 in the.
There you go, 4 and 4. Yeah, okay. But I like that better. It just feels a little bit more natural. There's no real injury news to speak of. Their last 10 games are both pretty much locked up. A 5-5 for Michigan State, a 6-4 for USC. It's hard for us to, at least me. It's hard for me to judge USC because, one, I don't watch a ton of college basketball, but 2, I certainly don't watch any Pacific Coast.
And so something interesting too, Michigan State, right, is a very popular basketball name, but Ohio State isn't what Ohio State used to be. Nebraska, obviously, Iowa, Indiana isn't really a strong basketball team this year. Michigan didn't make the tournament, which is very upsetting to hear about, right? They're not in it.
Indiana's been decent, right?
They're okay. They're a little bit kind of limping in, and they obviously Purdue is kind of carrying that squad, but Big Ten isn't what Big Ten used to be, right? And Coach Kevin's saying Big Ten is real ball. So, look, I think the Big Ten in the past has been a very respectable school. It's just not it's not at the peak. I mean, typically Ohio State, Indiana's coming in as a high 3 seed. Purdue's been making their run. You've got Michigan and Michigan State.
Illinois is in there. Yeah.
Illinois is in there. And then now, I mean, Ohio State, Michigan's not in there. Rutgers didn't make it either. And lost first round. Iowa State's Big 12.
You're right.
Michigan. All right, we'll do Michigan State. All right, we got Houston over here. Iowa versus Auburn. It's a tough one here, boys. I don't know.
Where are we going? What bracket?
This is Big Ten, top Midwest. Big Ten SEC matchup, and I just kind of shitted on both conferences. I don't know. Auburn was really good last year. Didn't get it done. Iowa's 5-5. Again, not really too much to boast about. Auburn did beat Tennessee. Did lose to Alabama in overtime. I like Auburn here, honestly. I don't know. It's a tough
I'll take
one.
Auburn there.
Drake and Miami, I hate 12-5s piss me off because I salivate over them. They're always so appealing, and then I feel like every year I go, you know what, just go to the 5, bro. Like it's, you know what I mean? And then I always miss it. I'm always in the wrong corner. I like Drake here. Miami's in a weird slump. Look, part of this is where my fandom comes in because I would love to see Miami lose here. But look at net rank, 55-35. We're talking imano. Miami's not that much higher ranked. Record versus top 5, not much. Strength of schedule, same damn thing. Points per game, give it to obviously Miami there. Last 10 games, Drake obviously.
Miami lost to Florida State. Florida State won 9 games this year.
Right here, there it is.
Yeah, 84-85. Don't get me wrong. It was on this like half-court buzzer beater that Florida State just threw up in order to even just have a shot, and it happened to go through. But the fact that Florida State stayed close, I just don't feel confident about that. I mean, they went on a tear there in the midseason, but they lost 2.
Look,
out of
7
their last
losses.
4.
They were the 1 seed, I believe, going into the ACC tournament. Got absolutely clapped by Duke. Drake, obviously, Drake. This is where just sucks with Drake. Like, what the hell is this? What am I gonna do with this? You know, like Illinois State, I can't work with that. But 82-51, we talked about that. That's an ass whooping in basketball.
Yeah, that's a big one.
I love seeing this. Tucker, I like Drake, bro.
They went 2 overtimes against Valpo.
So Drake, it is.
Yeah, let's just do it.
Let's do Indiana because we can't do it on both sides. It just doesn't happen that way.
Yeah,
if it does, I'll take it on the chin, like your mom did last night. Pittsburgh's coming in. These play-in teams scare the living shit out of me. Right? It's a weird advantage.
They're so on fire.
Yeah, because you're coming off a hot win. You've already played. You've already played in the big dance. You've already played with your back against the wall, right? And you feel like you should be there. I don't know.
Pittsburgh, I mean, they talked about it. Now, I will say this.
You're catapulting yourself into it. You know what I mean? They lost 96-69, though, to Duke. My goodness. But Iowa State's on a skid.
Yeah, so Pittsburgh has one of their best players out, though. Look at all the injuries for Pitt.
Okay, let's take a look.
Out for the season, out for the season, out for the season, out for the tournament.
Oh, wow. But look, there's no points, 8 points.
Yeah, but they were barely able to keep up.
All right, Iowa State. All right, yeah, I like that. Xavier, I'm already going to go Penn State because I know that you're heavy on them. I don't know how I feel about it, though. But I'm going to give it to you because we got to keep moving. I don't want to argue with you about this one. Yeah, Texas, for sure. Kansas, absolutely. Arkansas, Illinois is another tough one, boys. I don't know. I love how the boys are still in here hanging out. I appreciate you guys.
that's the family right there. Strength of schedule, Arkansas 3rd. I know you're not super bought into that, but in the strength of schedule, which you're not a huge fan of with the SEC, they're 2 of 8 in the top 25.
Not good in big games.
Like if you think that the SEC is a little heavy in the ranking, and then they are with talent, and Arkansas went 2 of 8. That's not a huge sell for me. Oh my God, dude! Look at their last 10 games.
Brutal.
Just L's everywhere.
And Kentucky's not that good. I think and they're getting waxed. Tennessee waxed them. Kentucky waxed them. I like Illinois here.
Yeah, let's rock and roll with that.
So VCU, I mean, ever since Shaka Smart, wasn't he at VCU, right?
That was him. Yep.
Always a team that I pick, but they're kind of like, in my opinion, Oral Roberts now, where they have a hard time getting over that hump because everyone's expecting them to be good now. They've kind of have stamped themselves as that upset school. In St. Mary's is one of those 5 seeds that nobody really knows about. It's not like a Duke 5, right? And we always think like this is going to be when it happens. I think St. Mary rolls. I really do. I hate to say it, but
St. Mary rolls. Is this a St. Mary's that always brings like the nun to the game?
No, that's another school. St. Mary's also too has kind of done what the Providence has done. They've been, if I remember correctly, kind of like a lower seed, right? A 12, an 11, and 9, and now they're a 5. So they're making the right progress. This game here is probably the most polarizing game of the entire tournament because this is going to set the tone more than I realize. I had Iona. No brainer. But then I go and I watch all these experts, and everybody has UConn to the Final Four. I went and watched UConn tape last night. They got a 7-footer, and this is what we talked about before. Is like sometimes we forget to just go watch something like that, where somebody like a 7'2" guy makes a massive impact in these kind of tournaments because you can't prepare for somebody like that in one game. Guy's dorky as all get out, but scares the living shit out of me. But Iona has Rick Pitino, which to me is just an absolute killer.
Feels like he can maneuver around that, yeah.
Yeah, and Iona, I was telling you this, in their conference play-in game or conference championship this weekend, were favored by like minus 1,500. That's insane in basketball. Like, that's an absolute shoo-in in basketball, which, look, I get it, but my God. I don't know, man. This is a tough one. Can we come back to it? Can we get... I need somebody...
Let's skip it. We'll skip
in the
it.
chat, guys,
the chat
we need help here. Let's get... This to be a family group pick here. TCU and Arizona, Nevada, they're playing right now. It's another tough one.
I think Nevada's just blowing them out by like 20 points, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, they even have a better... Look, they're pretty closely net ranked, too. I like TCU, man. TCU played a hell of a schedule. Beat Kansas State pretty good. Lost to Texas, who's pretty hot this season. Beat Texas also, too. I like TCU here. Gonzaga, obviously. I think Gonzaga is going to have a little bit of a secret trick here because they're playing that 3 seed.
Yeah, they do have a nice little path in Grand Canyon. Like, that's just Gonzaga, again, talking about like just a school that came out of nowhere but has been consistently good. That's those guys right there.
This is a weird one, bro. Look at this. Boise State, strength of schedule 26. What do you do with this, bro?
What in the hell?
When you got a guy named Boo Booey averaging 17 points a game, you don't need to do any more research on that. That's all you need to know. That's a no-brainer.
We're going with Boo Boo.
We're going for Boo Boo. Guys, you just stick with it, Sheldon. What are we saying, guys? I need a pick here. I need a pick.
Yeah, we're on Iona and UConn. Iona and UConn. That's where we need the help.
I want to pick Iona, but it's UConn because I just don't see St. Mary's moving on. It just doesn't feel right. You agree?
Yeah, let's go with it. Well, yeah. Let's do it.
Look at Iona, though, on a 10-game. Look at Iona, though. This is what we talked about, bro. Look at this. 76-55, ass whooping. 71-59, 74-54, 78-80, 93-74, 93-60. They're playing grown man basketball, bro.
Oh, wow.
He's back in the tournament for the 23rd time, leading Iona to its 6th appearance in the last 7 events. 4 of the Gales' top 5 players in minutes are upperclassmen, and they're one of the 4 teams in the country to have 3 players averaging at least 15 points a game. Bro, like it just everything's telling me you got to go with Pitino here, boys.
He'll get you one. You know what? That sounds right. He'll get you one win. He may not be able to take the talent that far deep, but I feel like Pitino.
This could be honestly the bracket because everybody had UConn going to the Final Four. Like that could be the whole damn bracket, honestly. But whatever. It's for
what'll happen. We win this bracket. High top wise, we're not sharing this money with anybody.
All right, we'll go Bama. I like Charleston. I mean, like at this point, we got to just this is where it gets weird, but I'm taking Charleston there.
There it is. Fine.
Baylor and Creighton. It's an interesting one here. It's close. Strength of schedule obviously goes to Baylor. Baylor not too far off from a championship 2 years ago. Creighton's a weird one, man.
Actually, mine.
You feel like Creighton should be good, but they just don't ever get it done. I like Baylor. I got to be honest with you. I just Creighton never feels good.
They've got the name. They've got the legacy. Let's go.
Utah State and Arizona. I feel like it's got to be Arizona. I feel like this is the first time where Arizona is highly seeded but not highly talked about, which could be dangerous. Purdue, got that. I got Duke all the way because I'm 50-50 on Tennessee going and even getting close. So I got to go with Duke here. Kansas State, I'm high on. And Marquette, I'm big on. Cool with that?
Marquette, I got that. Yep.
Okay. UCLA, big one there. Gonzaga. I got Zags feeling pretty good about them. I think them being a 3 seed takes the pressure off what they're used to. They got Timmy, obviously, there. I think they got to go far. And with how this bracket's shaping up could be an interesting one.
Yeah. I've got Gonzaga, UCLA in mind, and with UCLA winning that one, but we'll get back to it.
Look, this could be one of those teams that Iona, Rick Pitino, where he's kind of finding himself coming back into it. Could be, the season that catapults him into a
back into relevance.
Maybe finds himself a big job. I like owning here. We're winning the bracket. We get this right here, Steve. I'm telling you. I'm gonna tell you one thing. This is gonna be the game. All eyes on this game. I hope it's a late night game like on Friday. I'll stream the shit out of it. I'll get butt naked. Kansas there.
I'll be right back. I gotta kick this dog out. Hold on.
Oh shit. This is an interesting one. We'll take Houston here, boys. Penn State, Texas. Everyone's pretty big on Texas. I gotta pee, boys. I don't know about you guys, but my goodness. Gonzaga. Arizona lost to Arizona by 2 points. UCLA did. This is where it gets tough, boys. This is where it gets tough, you know? It's where it gets slicey and dicey. Can't believe you left me. What a show, though, tonight, you know? 2 hours in. I know it's been long, but my goodness, it's been a fun one. I appreciate you guys hanging out with us tonight. If you're still here, my goodness, well, shout out, kudos to you for hanging out. Make sure you guys, if you guys like the new hat selection, check out the link in the description. Appreciate the love and support, as always. My dudes. Steve's out here to leave me hanging, bro. He's peeing. He's not kicking the dog out. He lied to me. Doesn't take that long to kick the dog. You had to pee, didn't you?
Oh God, I couldn't take it anymore.
I have to pee too, piece of shit. But I'm sucking. I'm manning through it.
I couldn't. Dude, I'm like 45 years old, man. It's not a going problem. It's a growing.
All right,
problem.
hurry up. Let's go. Penn State. I picked Texas. I know you like Penn State, but I don't know how I feel about Penn State. Texas is pretty heavy right now. Everyone's feeling pretty good about Texas, but
Texas rock and roll.
All right, cool. Iowa State, Xavier. Damn.
Iowa State's another team that's always there, but just never really like kind of surprises you with anything.
Xavier basketball school, though. That's what kind of scares me. But they're chokies. They're chokies too. I like Iowa State, man.
You do?
I fuck with it. Yeah, I fuck with it.
This Arizona Nevada game, by the way, Arizona State Nevada is like a 35-point game.
Oh wow. Drake, Indiana. I guess we're going to Indiana here. Kind of getting a little freebie there. All right. Cool. All right. So I guess we got to go Bama here, obviously. Arizona for sure. Down here, I like Duke. I'm calling the Duke on the upset. Are you cool with that? We can agree?
Look, you're riding hard on Duke. I'm not on.
Yeah, I feel like they got a pretty easy. Like this game's gonna be tough, but I'm not sold on Purdue. I'm just not. I've sold on them the last couple of years, and they're just not doing it for me. This is a tough one. I like Kansas State because our boy from Florida, but I love Marquette with Marcus, with the Shaka Marcus or whatever. I think he's in a perfect position to get it done. They won the Big East championship as well. 7-2 versus top fives. Strength of schedule is a little bit easier than K-State, obviously, but I mean the guy's a proven winner, and there's something about that just kind of. Keontae Johnson, look at that, man! Goodness, sucks that Florida lost him. I love Kansas State here too, man, but I could see Kansas State lose. I don't know. I'm heavy Marquette, so I'll let you kind of talk on this one.
No. I like the Marquette pick. I mean, especially if we're going to go with Duke on the bracket above. I like the Duke Marquette.
Okay.
In the what would that be, the 8?
I like the Zags over UCLA.
Okay.
And okay. I think Patino ends here. So Texas, I guess, and then we'll do Houston. I hate doing like all 1s and 2s, but it typically works itself out that way anyways. We got a 2 and a 5 here, so we didn't do in a 3 and a 1, so it wasn't like that crazy. I hate picking Bama here, but they're the best team in the country.
It's starting to feel unnatural, but who do we have in this one?
Arizona.
Ooh, man, I don't know.
Strength of schedule, Bama has 1. Again, I don't like it. It's just matchups, man. I hate it.
It feels weird, right?
Yeah, I hate it. I hate it.
Alabama with the number 1 strength of schedule, and I
can see Bama losing to West Virginia. Like no lie. I hate it. I say we say Bama. I don't know. I don't fucking know.
There's neither one have injury problems. Gosh, Bama's just been on a tear. If they don't make it work this year, I don't know if they have sustainability. But they lost to Texas A&M. That's a tournament team. They lost to Tennessee. That's a tournament team. Everybody else, they've had a pretty good run against. Let's just go Bama. Let's just put them in there.
So you like Duke over Marquette here?
Ooh. When's the last time Marquette got past the 8 or past?
It's been a while. It's been a while.
But Duke just kind of feels like a staple there.
Duke was there last year in the Final Four. They lost to North Carolina.
Yeah.
I don't know how much of that team came back though.
I mean, that's college basketball in itself. Like the team just turns itself over every year. I mean, personally, I would just say that Duke, just because of the name, but Marquette, I don't think is out of the question there by any stretch.
Zags
I'll go with Duke.
Zags or Kansas?
Kansas. I think being the 1 seed out of that division is tough. If they can get to that game, I think they can win it. That's just me.
You think they go back to back?
It's not easy, but I mean,
they've shown that they can win. This is where it starts to suck. I like Houston here.
Yeah.
All right, what do we got?
Oh boy. So we got Duke, Alabama, Houston, and
this sucks.
I know this is.
It happens though. I mean, this typically is what happens anyways. Like all ones go. It's like one in a couple, maybe a two, or a five. Like how this is typically what happens. So
yeah, you get like a 7 that slides through, but then they just can't make it past like the 2.
Yeah, like they'll kind of get to this, right? They'll make it to this game, but the one usually kind of falls the way through because look at this. This is how their schedule falls. So it's like it's not that.
That's crazy. The whole point of the seeding is because they're supposed to have an easier path.
Yeah, so it's not crazy to think they can fall through. Like,
but in the 4, like you're like, now they're all pretty even. All right, so we have Bama and Duke. Bama.
I like Duke.
They're just so new to this.
I like Duke.
Yeah, let's just go Duke.
You want to do Kansas? Back again. We haven't seen back to back since Florida. I say Kansas Duke. We take Kansas.
Yeah, let's just put them in a slap fight, and then I would say.
Take Kansas. Go back to back. Let's break history. Let's win the bracket. Let's break history. I'm cool with cheering with Kansas.
All right, rock and roll, and then tiebreaker. You want to do like 140?
It's all right. Just leave me alone. There it is. Your pick is in, boys. So we have now. Wait, did I just do the wrong bracket?
No, it says complete right there.
Yeah, for this. I got to just redo it in here. It's fine. It didn't for some reason. What did, oh, wait, no, I just picked it. It picked it for my personal one. I'll fix it. No big deal. I'm going to do another one. I don't know why I did it like that, but all right, well, there it is. You got some people that have to get their stuff finished here. But over 42 brackets, pretty cool. Love seeing that. Maybe we'll get some more.
Let's go, guys. Let's go. There's actually basketball on tonight. Like, get into it. It's time to rock and roll. It happens once for tomorrow,
a year. Bro, it's parlay. It's parlay fucking heaven tomorrow, boys. 10 leggers. Let's rock.
You got to figure out how to get those TVs on at the office, bro.
I know, Steve. I gotta fucking pee. Boys and girls, ladies and gents, love you guys as always for hanging out with us. Incredible show. I hope you guys enjoyed every minute of it. Bringing the heat every week. Make sure you guys like, subscribe. Go get yourself some Manscaped. We'll see you guys in the next one. Love you. Peace.